Right, so officially welcome Sally and Debbie for the first time into the Art of Letting Go Zoom room. Glad you could join us. So what I wanted to share with you is a little diagram, which I'll pull up now. It's got a timeline of consciousness. So I use quite a lot of these diagrams as teaching aids. Refer to them frequently because they become reference points. So I'll share my screen. Let me know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Great. So this sort of speaks to what you were saying as well, Sally. So in each moment, you have an experience like today. Someone rocks up and is particularly negative. You have two choices here. So you can either root yourself onto the timeline, which is the ego's psychological and emotional attachment. Okay, so that's the red arrows. So no, make this real, react to it, and generally it makes it real through mental and emotional attachment. So whenever you're dwelling on something a lot, you're thinking about it, you have feelings about it that are not loving, peaceful, and joyful, then that's how the ego makes it all real. So that's what attachment means. You're taking your mind, your awareness, and you're putting it on this illusory activity, illusory action, situation, person, and the more you dwell on it and analyze it, the more you make it real. So the ego loves that. It's called paralysis by analysis. Well, why did this happen to me? But by assuming, by saying to yourself, why did this happen? What are you assuming? What does the question assume? Sally?
Sorry, I was writing something down. Can you say it again?
But when you ask yourself, well, why is this happening to me? Or how did I attract it? What is the assumption behind the question?
But it's real.
Exactly. So do you see how the ego has just set you up there? Oh, but it's real. And then from the assumption that it's real, you then try and deal with the so-called real problem and figure out. And of course, the ego loves that. It's going to keep you doing that forever, which is why it's challenging to get out of this dream, because it's a very sticky thought system. But the Holy Spirit, or the remembrance of oneness, has the answer. It simply says it's not real. Right? This isn't real. So don't think about it. Don't have emotions about it. Don't dwell on it. Simply recognize the unreality of it. Take your mind in that instant, the holy instant that he's been talking about in the text, if you've been reading that in the last few sections. The holy instant is the moment where you go into this pure formless awareness, which we can call God or love. It's eternal. It's knowledge. There's many names for it, but it's a state of mind. That's all it is. And that state of mind is the correction for it. So instead of asking, why did this happen? In that state of mind, you recognize that it didn't happen. Even while it's happening in your dream, even while the woman's speaking, you can do this. And this is the kind of radical forgiveness he's trying to teach, because this really cleans your mind. This undoes the single problem that you have. And the single problem that you have is what?
It's a dream, illusion.
Yeah, you believe in separation. That's the problem. One single problem that has caused all the problems that you seemingly experience here. So you go here. I don't think Debbie's seen this diagram, so I'm just going to show this to you. If you go into our descent into hell diagram. So this kind of explains the metaphysics of the course. And all Yeshua is saying is that there seemed to be a thought of separation once upon a time, and that's when time started. And that thought of separation is your entire problem, right? So you have one problem, which is the belief in separation, which has kicked off a whole thought system that now has resulted in you seemingly being human, an individual person with individual perception, trying to figure out what the hell's going on in this crazy world. So you have a fundamental perceptual problem because you have a fundamental belief problem. You believe in separation. But if there's only one problem, then the answer becomes obvious. So in every instance, what you want to do is boil it down to the one problem. So, okay, in this problem, I'm actually by accepting and saying, well, why is this happening? How is this happening to me? I'm accepting that it did happen, you see? Can you see the subtlety of the ego's thought system? And so I perpetuate the problem because I'm assuming it did happen. And he's saying, no, go back to first principles. It never happened. In truth, it never happened because God or love or oneness or pure formless awareness has always been. It's eternal. It doesn't change. So how can this have happened if this is true? So you must choose which reality you want to be in, and at every point you offered that choice. Even in the dream world, something happens, this mad scrum of guilt and sin and projection outwards, fear and attack thoughts and blame and feeling like you're a victim, living a helpless, enervated little life. This is the ego, all ego thoughts and emotions. But if you simply look at them and say none of this really happened, then you just drop it. Like, okay, none of it really happened. So the situation that's triggering this never happened. These thoughts never happened because they're all based on separation. And right now, I'm back in pure formless awareness because it's eternal. So it must be now. It's always been and always has been. And so real time, you just just correct yourself. And this is the kind of forgiveness he's teaching us. And I wanted to share something else with you, which is a little section from. I'm just disconnecting so we don't have beeping interrupting our recording. This is a little section from the clarification of terms, which a lot of people haven't read, but there's some real gems in it. So let's go to clarification of terms. Yeah, this is from the introduction. So number 4. Do you want to read that, Sally?
The ego will demand many answers that this course does not give. It does not recognize as questions the mere form of a question to which an answer is impossible. The ego may ask, how did the impossible occur? To what did the impossible happen? And may ask this in many forms, yet there's no answer, only an experience. Seek only this, and do not let theology delay you. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is where you come to, you say, well, how did the impossible happen? This idea of separation. If it's not possible, how did the impossible happen? To what did the impossible happen? And may ask this in many forms, which you don't always recognize. And really, all it's trying to do is make the impossible real by questioning it. The question assumes that it happened, doesn't it? How did the impossible occur? Well, fundamental in that question is, well, the impossible did occur. Now I'm asking how it happened. Or to what did the impossible happen? Again, assumes that it happened. And he's asking us to go beyond that and say, actually, there's just an experience. Just an experience is the answer. An experience of pure formless awareness, which is total peace, will answer you. Because in that experience, you recognize that there is a state where separation is not there. It's no longer there. And if that's possible in an instant, he calls that the holy instant, then why isn't it possible for all eternity, for all my experience? Why couldn't I have that state of perfect peace? So the holy instant, which is offered to you in these situations. So you have an experience this morning, someone coming into your home and telling you all the negativities of the world. That offers you the opportunity to really let go of the ego again, enter into the holy instant, and experience this pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's what she's offering you. And that's the single way the Holy Spirit's asking you to interpret this. Saying, don't get stuck in, well, why did this happen? How did I attract it? And I understand why you do that. It's a resident belief from manifestation, law of attraction, all that stuff, right? But we're going beyond law of attraction here, way, way beyond law of attraction. We're going to pure formless awareness of perfect love, ultimate truth, that is beyond any of the laws the ego's made up. Law of attraction is still within the ego framework. There's nothing to attract in perfect oneness. It simply is. God is, love is, and then we cease to speak at some point. Jesus says, God is, and then we cease to speak. So he's pointing us to the ultimate transcendent reality. And he's giving us a way to do that moment by moment, in the holy instant, as he calls it. You have the opportunity that's often given to you by these seeming life situations that crop up, especially when it seems to be the ego, belief in separations seemingly coming up. You have the moment, the opportunity in that moment to just drop it and say, oh, I recognize this. This is the opportunity. Okay, let me go into the state of pure formless awareness. And even if that's for a few moments, even if you can just manage to really clear your mind and find that transcendent peace for a few moments, you have taken a great step, a giant stride, sometimes he calls it, towards this awareness. Because in the moment of temptation, you went the other way, see? You went into pure formless awareness. And if you get good at that, this is what the forgiveness that he's teaching us is, and this mind training is designed to do, to get really good at just being completely counterintuitive to what the ego wants you to do, just going the opposite direction. And doing that real time. Oh, okay, something arises. I feel maybe there's a moment of temptation. Oh, I'm starting to feel like those thoughts and emotions are real, and it's taking me somewhere. And then you stop yourself using the daily lesson. That's why he's given the lessons to us. And remind yourself, let me remember that I am one with God. Let me remember that I am one with love in this moment. And drop into that awareness. Then you just corrected the entire egoic thought system in that moment. And you just dropped your ego and you went into a state, transcendent state. Even if it's for a few moments, that's hugely valuable, because the more you do it, the more you go, oh, I can do this. Actually, this is now the answer to all of my imagined problems in separation. I can go into pure formless awareness, and I can. Well, why can't I? Why for a few seconds? Why can't I stay there for minutes? Maybe half an hour, maybe an hour. And so you start extending the time. And every egoic happening on this timeline actually is an opportunity for you to do that. So that's what he's trying to get us to see. Wow, this is, instead of, well, why did this happen? And there's a bit of a negative reaction to it. You go, oh, wow, I welcome this in, because this is now a wonderful opportunity for a holy instant. I can now turn this around and collapse the ego again. And this is what my life keeps presenting me with. Wow, this is amazing. Bring it on. And when I do that, then I've done this. I go to pure formless awareness in the moment. So that's the big arrows into the state. I rest there maybe even if it's just for a few moments, it could be a few seconds. I rest there, and then I come back, and now I get some guidance. And maybe I perceive the situation differently. So I look on this woman and I see only love. I see a cry for love, and something in me, something is inspired in me to say something to her. And I say, well, we don't really have to believe all these things, do we? Or whatever, some inspired comment comes in, or maybe you just sit in presence. You go, well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to sit in this peaceful presence as she prattles on. And maybe that peaceful presence eventually will stop her mind, because she's just going to go, there's no one saying anything. I'm not getting any feedback. She wants you to, oh yes, isn't it terrible, da 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 da, and you join into the ego sympathy party, and you're just in peaceful presence, and that's that then maybe just gets her ego mind to just stop for a moment and go, okay, there's something else here. There's another presence arising, and I feel it. You see, so then you get the guidance from that state of mind. You get the guidance. That's the return arrow. That return arrow gives you the guidance as to what to do. What should you say? What should you do? Maybe you do nothing. Maybe you say a comment. Who knows? Every situation is different. And the Spirit, knowing everything, is going to give you the guidance. And so now you become very, very effective in this world, because you're coming from this ultimate truth. And it's just being downloaded and streamed into this reality via your mind. You become the done through. You are done through. This awareness is doing you, and you become the pure presence of love in this world. And then you're at the level of a Yeshua or Buddha. And he's saying, well, that's really possible. You can do that. I did it. It's possible for everyone to do it. And this mind training is how you do it. So don't get sidetracked into believing the ego story and saying, well, why does this happen? Just go, it didn't really happen. Even while it's happening. Even while the woman's saying her negativity, so this isn't really happening. Okay, it's not really happening. So I'm completely clear. If I really get that, I'm completely clear in my true awareness. And from that awareness, I could just look at her with total love and just hold that loving, peaceful presence. And maybe that would stop her. Maybe that would just stop her speaking. Or probably on some level, you're affecting her. So she may not stop. But afterwards, she might go, that was really interesting. Something penetrated through her egoic awareness. I felt a presence there, and I don't really know what it is, but it actually felt quite good. And then she might phone you up and say, what did you do there exactly? Who knows? Or maybe not. She just goes away and she thinks about it, and that's a little crack in her ego's mindset, which might just open her up to another crack. You see, you don't know. So you just did whatever pure formless awareness asked you to do in the moment, and then you leave it. The outcome's not up to you. That's up to this awareness. The Holy Spirit is in charge of the at-one-ment. So how that plays out on the level of form and how that affects your life, you don't know. And you don't have to know. Maybe that's the only interaction you ever have with her. Maybe that leads to a holy relationship and you actually get to know her quite well and she becomes one of your students. Who knows? But in the moment, you're not concerned with any of that, are you? You're just concerned, okay, all I've got to do is go into pure formless awareness right now. So it's such a simple teaching. Not easy to do because we're so used to the ego hijacking our thoughts and emotions and pulling us into an egoic state. Some kind of, okay, well, why did it happen? Then we analyze, okay, you're still in the ego because you're making it real. We're so used to doing that it requires discipline to do it in every situation. Just go, okay, no, it never really happened. So I'm in pure formless awareness. I'm not going to make this problem real. But if you practice it, and that's why he's given us the workbook, to practice. We practice doing this moment by moment daily, then you get pretty good at it, like anything you practice. He's saying this is actually really the only one thing you should be practicing, because your only purpose here is forgiveness. Your only purpose is the letting go of every belief in separation that you still hold. And to answer Debbie's question, that then becomes the purpose of your life. And actually, if you're doing it and you then downloading into this reality what you should do, that can be pretty amazing. You can have some pretty amazing experiences, pretty miraculous experiences that become the substance of the happy dream that you have. And that's the best you can do in this life. You can live an inspired life. You can live a happy dream. You can be an inspiration to others. You can play your part in that one-ment. And you go, well, that's okay. I can do that for a while. I don't have to leave now. I'm still really here. Actually, in truth, if I'm always referencing back there, I'm still there. I'm not really in my body. I'm not really human. So what does it matter? When Ramana Maharshi was a great Indian sage, was dying, cancer. His disciples get really upset and oh, master, you're dying. What are we going to do without you? And he said, have you learned nothing from all my teachings? I'm going nowhere. I'm going nowhere. I'm still going to be there. Like, I'm eternal. So why are you sad? It's just a body that's not even real that's dying. But it's just the attachment to the physical form. See, that was the problem. Actually, if they saw him as what he really was, he's just pure formless awareness, and that pure formless awareness is also theirs, then there's nothing to lose. You can't lose anything. He's right there with them, whether he's corporeal or incorporeal. It's because there's only one self. And so this is where Yeshua is asking us to go with this course. Just continuously go back to this God love, eternal, pure formless awareness, knowledge, whatever you want to call it. This place of pure peace. There's nothing else there. It is a non-dual reality. There's no duality here. And if you can do that in time, in apparent duality, then you're correcting your mind. And this is the fast track home, because you just keep going back home. Eventually, you just dwell there. You're like, well, why would I ever depart onto the red timeline? There's no point there. There's nothing of value here. To be rooted on a red timeline, going from birth to death, and making all these circumstances a reality in my mind and upsetting my peace, really doesn't serve me at all. There's no point to that. So I'm living in this transcendent state, even while the timeline seems to play out. Events, circumstances, things that still arise on the timeline. That's the illusory reality. But I'm really not affected by it at all. I stay in this timeless awareness forever. And that's the enlightened state that he's training us to stay in. Okay, so any thoughts on that? Questions, comments?
Yeah, that was really, really helpful. It's like putting it into action. I like how you make it into real life. And what actually happened with the vet was, while she was going off on her rant, I did just sit there and I didn't respond. And although I did ask, why is this happening? I did kind of join the oneness, and the energy in the room changed, and we just sat in silence. And then the room got really light, and I just said, oh, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? And it just changed.
Yeah. So you actually did it.
Yeah.
Which is, so you learned the lesson real time, and then you feel the change in energy, and there's a lesson for her there as well. If she wants to accept it, it's not up to you to force her to accept this, but there's an opening there for, if she wants it, into something else profound that could be completely life-changing for her. Because she thinks she's a vet. You see, this is the interesting thing about these holy encounters. She thinks she's a vet, and her purpose is to come and sort out your sick animal. But maybe the purpose for the encounter is something completely different. It's actually a holy encounter designed for her ultimate awakening, and she's come here, for another purpose. And you, as a miracle worker, recognize that, and then just hold that presence, and then you offer her the gift of this presence in that moment. And then your life's pretty, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty interesting, inspired life. It completely changes the way you previously lived. You can have some amazing, miraculous experiences. You can feel like, well, there's some real purpose here. My real purpose is just to be this presence and bring this into a world that is separated from it. That's my only purpose here. That's my only function. And I feel pretty inspired by that. I'm in the spirit. I'm in this pure formless awareness or spirit, and it's coming through me. And yeah, well, right here, right now, this is what I'm doing, and I'm representing this awareness in this world. Well, what holier function could you have to this person, to whoever shows up, moment by moment by moment? And that's a very freeing, purposeful way to live. What else are you going to do with your life? And then your life unfolds because you're in this awareness. This awareness is now directing your timeline, and so all kinds of miraculous things can happen on the timeline that really take you out of the ordinary into the extraordinary. Even if you're still living, doesn't mean you're doing extraordinary things necessarily. I mean, having a vet to your house because you've got a sick dog is not. Most people go, well, that's not pretty extraordinary. It's just like, well, it's something you got to do. But that experience can become a holy encounter and an extraordinary experience for both of you. The ordinary becomes extraordinary and miraculous in nature. And if your life is filled with those, then that's very fulfilling. That's a very rich life. And what else could you ask for? That's about the best you can do in a dream world, is have this, extraordinary, ordinary life, have a happy dream, and play your part in that wonderment until it's time for you to leave. And when it's time for you to leave, you go, I'm not sad. It's like, hallelujah, it's graduation day. I'm finally out of here. I finally graduated. You don't want to stay in college or university forever, do you? You're like, I want to get out of here. So great. It's finally, graduation day. I've done my work. I've studied well. I've learned the lesson. And hallelujah, I don't need to come back. I'm free forever. Death is the final portal to eternity. I'm free forever. I've done my job. I played my part in that wonderment. I don't have to skip this and go back into another incarnation because I still believe in separation. I'm done with it. And now I join Yeshua and the others who've done the same thing, and I just abide in pure formless awareness, and I become this Holy Spirit. I become that voice that's now going to guide all of my companions home for the rest of time. And you join the at-one-ment with Yeshua and all the others who've done it. And that's something to be really looked forward to. I mean, that day, I'm just like, oh, bring that on. That's just going to be like, wow. You know, death is not to be feared. Death is like, woo, this is going to be a ride back, all the way back into eternity. So what are you fearing? There's nothing to fear then. Just let it all flow, you know. So and each time you do this, you see, you are preparing for that moment, aren't you? Each time you let go, you go into the pure formless awareness of perfect love, you are preparing your mind for that moment of death, because it's like a mini death for the ego. Oh, okay, you're just letting go a little bit more and undoing it. And so that's what it means to die daily. You know, you die to the ego, you die to the belief in separation, you die to the false self by simply letting it go moment by moment. And so your life is punctuated with, you know, the death of the ego, but in each little death of the ego, you resurrect into pure formless awareness. Your mind is now back in its original state, and that feels very joyful and very blissful. Now you have the eternal life streaming through you, and you know what's going to happen. Well, that's very interesting. What's going to happen if you really do that? How does the spirit do Sally's life, Debbie's life, Iona's life? Well, aren't you curious? Wouldn't that be an interesting thing to find out for the next 20, 30 years, or however long your remaining dream is? Maybe it's only another year, maybe it's 5 years, who knows? It's not up to you to decide. But wouldn't it be interesting to see how that played out in the dream in the next, you know, little while? It's just a tiny tick of time. It's an instant on the timeline, a tiny tick in eternity. But that can be a pretty, you know, amazing, happy dream if you allow it to be. So then you have, you know, your true purpose. Then you're inspired. That's an inspired life. And then you're not going, well, what should I do? No, you know exactly what to do in every instant. It's to fully let go and then be guided. Okay, well, now I'm in that pure formless awareness, and that's in charge. What should I say? What should I do? Where should I go? And the spirit will guide you, because it's an intelligence that can now translate into this world. That's why he calls it the Holy Spirit. It's the intermediary between the worlds. And while we're here, we need that presence. We need guidance. So it's there for us. Whatever we need, wherever we are, is given. And then we're not saying, well, what's the point? The point is love. The point is just to stay in this higher awareness and let this stream through me and just transform my life, everyone's life. Just be this awareness in form. Bring it into this world through my presence. And I have a body for that purpose. My only purpose being in still in a body is that I can now actually people can relate to me. If I'm not a body that can't see me, then I'm not that much use. So the body then becomes just a communication vehicle to allow you to bring this presence in and teach others by your example. And that's the life he's holding off us. That's saying that, well, that's what you can be. That's what I'm training you to be as I was, to be the Christ, to be the representative of this awareness, this one self in the world. That's your purpose here, your function, your only function. So you're up for it? Now, it doesn't matter if you make a mistake and temporarily the ego hijacks you, because you can always come back. So, okay, well, I made a mistake there. That's okay. I let that go. As soon as I recognize the mistake, I can correct it. I can return my mind to that, and then off we go again. And those instances become less and less as you get better at this. Your mind gets more vigilant. That's why I say vigilance, because your mind gets more vigilant of these red arrows. Oh, okay, ego's coming, trying to suck me down. Okay, get it. I feel that pulling energy, trying to root me on the timeline into time and space, into a personal identity. No, stop it now. Correct it. And he's giving you, these lessons daily to do the correction. Okay, well, I have an idea for today. Let me remember I'm one with God. I'm one with love. Okay. So now I do that. I go into a little, letting go, bring it in. I give you some breath breaks. So if that's useful, listen to the 5-minute breath break. If you feel you need a bit more than just the idea, and then okay. So now I've restored my mind into this awareness. No, okay, I feel okay now. My peace is restored. My perception's corrected. So what should I do? Maybe I do nothing. Maybe it doesn't warrant action. Maybe I just sit there. In your instance, you got the guys to sit for a while to bring it all down, and then you said, well, isn't it a lovely day? Just to switch it. So you said you didn't do anything. That's often the wisest course of action. And then you just dropped in something to change the energy. So yeah, sounds like you're learning this. You're taking the guidance and you're applying it. It's just getting quicker at it. So instead of spending a minute or two, however long you spend going, well, why is this happening? How did I track this? You simply go, I don't even ask that question because the answer is completely obvious right now. I don't get delayed by theology, as he calls it. What you're asking there is how did the impossible occur? And really, in that instance, weren't you?
Mm.
So you don't get delayed by that question. You simply go, there's an experience here. That there is no answer, only an experience. Okay, my experience can be that I go into pure formless awareness of perfect love. I experience that now. There's perfect peace, and I just remain there. And that could be my experience, and that's the answer to the ego. I don't get caught up in questioning the dream. Because this is a trick. This is just another very cunning trick. Because it's like, oh no, I get it. There's an illusion. I get it. But how did the illusion happen? Oh, but it just got you a game. The illusion just sucked you in a game. See, because you made it real. And so this is about the limits of the intellect. This question, how did the impossible occur? To what did the impossible happen? This is really the furthest the ego can take you, because it's taken you here, but it's still assuming that is real, that sort of separation is real by the question. So there you hit the limits of intellectual understanding. You can't go beyond that with the intellect, which is why he says, well, the answer is an experience, because experience is beyond the intellect. Experience will take you into the experience of God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness in that moment, the holy instant. And in that experience, you feel the peace of that. Then you've just reinterpreted the ego's dream. Now you look upon that situation and your perception is changed because you've had that experience. And you cannot respond in the same way you would have if you believed in the idea of separation. You just cannot. It's healed, and so your response is going to be completely different. And that's what the miracle is. When you do that, this correction process, going into pure formless awareness, then looking on whatever is happening in this mad world of the ego, but you're looking at it from this state of mind, from pure formless awareness. Then your perception has changed, and your thoughts and your emotions and your actions and your behavior will change. They have to, because that is the fundamental basis of all of them, perception. And that process is the miracle. That's what he's training us to do. That's why it's a course in miracles. It's a course in getting really good at these corrections and just doing it by default. Okay, it shows up again. And so every situation, you go, oh, great, another opportunity to practice. Fantastic. Bring it on. And then you just, there's no resistance to anything. You just say, okay, well, all I've got to do is transmute it. And that's so powerful. Nothing can touch you. You're invulnerable. It's like, okay, bring it on, whatever. Death, disaster, pain, suffering, misery, sickness, death. You're like ego, like Neo at the end of the platform. You remember in the Matrix? You watch the Matrix. He's getting the shit kicked out of him, and he's like, wow. The ego's like giving him a full-on like kicking, and he goes to the end of the platform and he goes, right. Another level of determination. Right. Okay. I'm gonna face this. It doesn't matter what you throw at me. Come. I'm not scared anymore. Bring it on. That's what he said. Come. Because you have a thought system here that can undo everything the ego throws at you. So then why wouldn't you want to bring on everything? Bring on death, whatever. Bring on disaster. Bring on chaos. Because none of these things are real. I'm just going to undo them. The more you bring them on, the more I undo them. And this is the invulnerable spirit that he's asking us to accept in our lives and embody, and that's pretty inspiring. So then every day it's like, okay, so there's some lessons to learn, but it's joyful lessons, and I'm doing my part in that one-ment, and the more I do this, the more love and peace and joy I experience, and wow, I can be really, really happy in the stream. None of these things can affect me, and I feel like I'm actually getting somewhere finally. I'm out of the trying to make this impossible dream work. I'm out of that. I'm actually going somewhere that's true and real. And every day is part of that journey, and I really feel fulfilled, and I feel like my life is worthwhile, and I have a true purpose. And this is the only way. Saying there's no other way but to go there. You try and find purpose and meaning in the dream. Good luck. You're never going to find it because it's a dream. It's a false world. And the only reason that this world was invented was to perpetuate the belief in separation. That's all. There's no other purpose, no other meaning to it. So that's what he's asking us to accept. When you say, to come back to what we started with, when you say, I have a perceptual problem, you are saying, I acknowledge that this is the problem. This idea of separation and the perception that it's led to is my one problem. And I have then one answer, because the idea of separation is at the root of it. I simply need to let it go in this moment. That's all. So one problem, one solution. What could be simpler? You don't get then delayed by any of the ego's trickery to try and convince you that this is real and try and find some solution within the dream world that's going to work, because that's what it's always trying to do. Okay, so you have a problem, you have a relationship problem, you have a financial problem. Try and find a solution to that in the world. It's not going to work. You're never going to find it. You'll keep looking and looking and looking, and really in the looking, you're assuming the problem's real, rather than just saying, well, the problem's not real, so let me just collapse it. And go in here. Here's the answer. God is the answer to everything. And then I just take guidance. The return arrow is like, well, I'll get the guidance as to how I should look on this, how I should perceive it, what I should do if I need to take action. And it's not coming from me. Oh, well, what a relaxing way to live. It's just being downloaded. I'm being done through. It just takes all the pressure off, because now the Holy Spirit, this divine intelligence beyond time and space that knows the whole planet in one-ment, is in charge. Oh, well, hallelujah. Finally, someone who knows what he's doing is in charge, because I really didn't know what I was doing. It's like a mad driver, driving down, like, imagine you driving a car and you have no idea what you're doing or where you're going. This is the ego's world. I'm driving and I don't know where I'm driving. I'm on the road to nowhere. And then finally, you put the Holy Spirit in the driver. It says, okay, we need to turn around first because you're going in the wrong direction. Let's turn around, do a U-turn, and let's go in the other direction, because you're heading in completely the wrong direction. And so it was the road to nowhere. Now we're going to go somewhere. That's what you truly want. So yeah, any thoughts, comments, questions on that? Debbie, you're diving into the deep end here, but it's all good. This diagram I'll refer to again. So it's something we refer to frequently. So if you don't fully get it, then you'll get quite a lot more of this. And if you stick with the program, we do this in detail in the course, Art of Letting Go course, which comes around in February. We go through this in a lot of detail, and we have a retreat coming up in September, which will go into this as well. So one way or another, you will learn it. But this is really just explaining in diagrammatic form the metaphysics of the course, and putting it down quite simply as to how. Okay, so how the hell did we get here? How do we actually arrive in bodies in a world as seeming human beings, trying to figure out what's going on in a world that doesn't make a lot of sense? Well, this is how it happened, and that's really useful to understand how it happened, and that I have a fundamental perceptual problem. And then I do the correction because I understand it. Okay, well, actually, all I've got to accept is that it never really happened in each moment. That's my job. That's the answer that God has given to this dream. So the metaphysics, understanding this, then gives you the answer, doesn't it? When you fully understand this, then the one answer becomes obvious. So that's why we study the metaphysics. Because you go, oh, well, aren't I making it real in studying the metaphysics? You're studying the dynamics of the ego so that you can undo it. That's the only purpose. Otherwise, there would be no purpose because it's not real. But the problem is you think it's real. So we need to look at that whole construct of the ego and how you think it's real and how this is played out in order to undo it, to recognize its unreality. And that's the approach of the course, always taking you up the ladder of separation back to the start. The start was the thought of separation, and that idea is behind every single experience you have in this world. And he's just asking you to go, okay, well, let's go there, collapse it there at its source, at its origin, and then you're free. If you go into pure formless awareness of perfect love, perfect oneness, then the idea of separation is gone. So just do that. And this is the fast track. This is how you're going to undo your dream very quickly. Through this radical forgiveness, or as I call it, letting go. Through a radical letting go, moment by moment, of whatever's showing up that is not serving you. If you're in an experience where there's just love and peace and joy, and you're just perceiving that, well, there's nothing to let go of. That's now your experience. But if anything negative comes in, any fear, guilt, sin, attack thoughts, anything that denies pure formless awareness, then you have some letting go to do. Okay, great. Came up. I can see it. I can let it go. I can restore my mind. I can do that in the holy instant. So if you get good at this, you do it just like that. Okay, just in a moment, in an instant, you can do it. Use the lesson to help you. You drop it. You restore your mind to pure formless awareness, and on you go again. No drama, no fuss. So you're living in the miraculous domain. These are miracles happening moment by moment for you, and no one even knows it. It's a miracle of a shift in your perception. People will see it if you really do this. They'll see it in your beingness, in your happiness, in your peace. They'll see it, but you will know it. Ultimately, this comes down to your experience. You will know it in your experience. Yes, I am doing this. I am living in the miraculous domain rather than the ego, and I feel it because you feel the love and the peace and the joy streaming through. That's how you know it. If there's not love and peace and joy, then there's a problem. You're not doing it fully. Okay. So thanks for that question, Sally. Always kicks off some interesting, 40 minutes later. In fact, more, because I started recording later. So that's what happens. But hopefully it's all good. I'm just downloading. It just happens. So excuse me if I'm just very
exciting, and now I'm really excited.
Good. All right. So let's have a little read of today's quote and my little commentary on it. Debbie, by the way, you're getting my emails. Was worth checking that.
Yeah. Yes. I realized it was going to junk, but I am getting them now.
Okay. Great. Yeah. So you found them.
Yeah.
And just put in in fact I'll send it to you. What have you already done a filter? Do you use Gmail?
Hotmail.
Use Hotmail. Have you put a filter on it so it's now going into your primary box? Yeah. Great. How to do that. Okay. So if you will read for us the quote and then the first couple of paragraphs, please.
There is only one all-pervading God. It has only one message: love all, encompass all, and transcend the limits of the selfish gene. Today's quote states the simple truth that every authentic spiritual tradition and teacher has taught through the ages, which is that God is all-pervading, unconditional love for everyone and everything. We only have difficulty accepting this because of what Dr. Amit Ray, an Indian spiritual teacher and, interestingly, also an expert on quantum computing and artificial intelligence, calls the selfish gene, and Akim and many other spiritual paths call the ego.
Yeah, ACIM. Okay, any thoughts on that?
No.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So this, this is the perennial philosophy. God is all-pervading, unconditional love. It's an expansive, all-encompassing, unconditional love for everyone and everything. And this is the truth that pretty much every authentic spiritual path and teacher and teaching has stated through the ages. And so this is just a restatement of that. He calls it the selfish gene, but we call it the ego, which is just the belief in separation. Right? So we break it down even further, because calling it the ego can make it seem to be real. Yes? It's like a real entity. And some people are, oh, this big bad ego, and I'm terrified of it. It's so big and enormous. Actually, it's just a belief. The ego is the belief in separation. So does that belief have power? Well, it only has power if you believe it, if you want it to be so. It has no power if your mind doesn't believe it. Your mind is host to the belief. Your mind is host to the ego, in other words, if you choose for it to be so. But you can make another choice, which is what all these authentic spiritual paths and Course in Miracles is asking you to do. Make another choice, because you don't have to believe in this. Okay, Sally, will you read the next couple of paragraphs, please?
In fact, the ego and its dysfunctions are not caused by genes, as scientific materialists would have you believe, but rather by the belief in separation that then makes up apparently separate bodies with different genes to trick the mind into believing that it really is an individual person living in a body in a seemingly external world. All of this has been done for one reason and one reason only, to convince the mind that its belief in its separate identity is true, and that oneness or love is not. The antidote to this trickery and self-deceit is the universal unconditional love Amit Ray refers to in his quote, which you can perceive in every apparent person and living organism sharing the dream of this world with you.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
So how does that work with animals then?
Well, how do you think?
So they're living in love all the time? Are they in unconditional love?
No, they have their ego, going on too. The world of animals, of nature, is pretty cruel. Survival of the fittest. Dogs and cats, domestic animals have it a bit easier because they get fed and they're living a human protected life. But in the wild, it's pretty scary. It's a pretty fearful world built on the ego's thought system of eat or be eaten. Pretty much. I need to live, so I need to feed on something else, and something might eat me. Survival of the fittest. So but underneath that, if you perceive it correctly, you see that there is one life essence that permeates all of it. Every apparent person, every animal, every plant has this very essence of life in it. And your only job is to see that beyond the illusion of the world, beyond the drama that plays out of the survival of the fittest and me or the other surviving and life and death, beyond that is the life essence that is in everything. Otherwise it would have no existence at all. That life essence, the foundational awareness, pure formless awareness, is at the foundation of every living thing. Otherwise there could be no existence at all. What's happened is it's just split off from that in its mind and believed in separation, and that belief has caused it to believe that it's now a separate thing and incarnate into that separate body, just like we have. And go, oh, well, now I'm a dog or a cat or a tree or a whatever, an insect. And we are very fortunate in human form that we can actually realize who we are. Because I'm not sure if you're an insect that you can do that. I doubt it. One doesn't know. I haven't been. Maybe I was an insect at some point. I said to her, "How do you know you weren't a grub in a previous life?" We don't. And you've just, progressed and upgraded now into human form, which is the final form you need to awaken from the dream. So we're very fortunate. In human form, wow, we can have conversations like this. We have an intellect that can understand concepts that allow us to transcend our own identity. Well, I don't know if any other animal can do that. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. Well, we won't know. Maybe, you'd say dolphins and whales, they're pretty intelligent, possibly more intelligent than human beings. They've got bigger brains. Maybe they can do it. Maybe they can't. One doesn't know. But what you know is that in your form currently, you can do this. You can absolutely do this. And that is all you need to worry about, because you're playing your part in that one-ment. And everything else will be looked after by the spirit. Every apparent separate entity, being, soul, whatever you want to call it, has its journey back to oneness, and you can't possibly fathom that or figure it out. All you can do is say, all right, this is my journey, this is my job. I can do this in my lifetime, in this lifetime, and I have a huge, enormous opportunity here as human, with this amazing teaching and with this technology we've invented. Wow, really, it's never been better. The time for you at one-ment is ripe right now. So take the opportunity. You don't need to dilly-dally in time any longer than it's necessary. One more life, right? The rest of this lifetime, if you're serious, that's your goal. It's a done deal, and you're out of here. And that's pretty exciting. I mean, it's like, okay, great. Finally, we don't have to have another 100 lifetimes to try to figure out this dream world. I can do it here now. I can do it in this time. I have the teaching. I have the means. I don't need to go seeking for the truth anymore. I have it. It's right there. It's in this course. It's coming at me daily. If you're on this program daily, you're getting the doses of truth. So what more do you want? Just accept it. Accept it and be glad that finally the dream is being undone. And this is the final lifetime. This is the final hurrah. Okay, so any questions, comments on that? Happy to move on to the next. So Iona, if you can read. Hello, by the way. I haven't said you've just been sitting quietly there on your sofa.
Indeed. Yeah.
In peace. It looks like you're pretty peaceful today. So
Yeah, it's true. I am. Been some very strong experiences over the last 2 days, but I'm letting them. I'm letting myself be in peace. Yes.
Good.
So, how can I do this in practice? You may well be wondering, because the theory sounds wonderful, but the practical reality you experience may seem to be very different. The seeming fact that there is no unity in this world, but only separation, is not a fact at all, but rather a belief that you want to hold on to, irrespective of what seemingly happened in the past and what seems to be happening and how anyone's behaving now. You can always choose to perceive the one life force that gives the gift of life and love to everyone and everything. Yeah. Sometimes when you have, I'll speak from my own experience the last 2 days, when you're constantly in and out of choice, choose differently. Don't choose to believe that, see that, get involved in that, believe this.
It's quite intense, isn't it?
It's super intense right now. It seems to be coming at me from all sides right now.
But that's good. So what it means is you're unwinding your mind.
It's so great that you're sitting there saying, this is really good.
It's really good. It is.
Oh my God. Hand me the bottle of whiskey.
You're being so that analogy where you hear when I talked about Neo.
Yeah.
So you're getting kicked around by the ego, right? It's like, okay, so you think you're going to escape, Mr. Anderson, Mrs. Leishman. You think you're going to escape, right? Take that, wah, and that, wah, and that, wah. And all the blows come in, and you, as the spiritual warrior, I just like, okay, it doesn't matter. I can let it go, and I can let that one go too, and I can let that one go too. And you know what? Bring it on. Bring on some more. I can let it all go.
Oh, great.
Mm.
Excellent. Excellent.
You're not scared. It's like, bring it on, because this is exactly how you undo it, you see. You bring it all up. You say, bring it on. Let's accelerate this thing. I've been dilly-dallying in time for way too long.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's get this over with. Let's bring it on. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, Neo has to face more. He has to face Smith because he can't run away from his ego forever.
Uh-huh.
Morpheus says to him, everyone's run away, but someone has to face them to undo this this ego, and you will be it, he says. So you know, that's a call to all of us. You have to stand and face this thing and go, okay, I'm not running away from you anymore. Bring it on, whatever, because I now have this teaching that will, I know this will undo you. I know that, like, doesn't matter what you try, the spirit is more powerful, and it will undo this. And I have a master teacher in Yeshua who has done this. So he's my, you know, my mentor, my guide, like Morpheus. And I'm now actually in a program that's been designed exactly to help me to really listen and really apply this. And I've got this at my fingertips. It's coming in at me every day. I've got live sessions. I've got recordings. I've got all the tools I need to really, like, okay, let's take this to another level now. And if that feels like intense, well, that's because you're just accelerating the undoing process.
Cool.
You're no longer saying I'm going to dilly-dally in time for another 10 years, just kind of trying to make the ego's thought system work. I'm actually really ready to step it up and undo this. So that, yeah, final lifetime, you know, I'm going to take this on. And then if it's giving you a right old kicking, it's because it has to. It's defending. Like, what else will the ego do? You know, Neo is threatening the entire system, the ego's system and thought system at its foundation. So of course it's going to defend. Go, all right, we absolutely, this cannot be. We're going to give you a right old kicking. We're going to try and kill you. All of this kind of stuff, and you just don't buy into any of it. Look what happened to Yeshua. It was that super intense. Crucifixion. I mean, talk about like intense lesson. But that's where he took it. He said, okay, you know, I'll take this to the ultimate. I'm not scared of the ego. I'll take this all the way. You know, I'm not going to back down here. And he did. He took it all the way to the ego's, you know, attack and death. And then, well, that's not a problem because I'll just resurrect. I'll just show you that life is eternal and you cannot kill me.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what he did. You know, he just took it the full way, didn't he? He wasn't scared at all. So, you know, there's our example. Like, you probably not, he says, you know, you're not asked to repeat my experiences. So you're probably never going to have to go through a crucifixion because that kind of thing doesn't happen in our day and age. But, you know, the whatever intensity that you're facing is a similar experience. You know, just take it as a, you know, his experience as a learning and an example, even in that extreme situation, like super intense situation. You're being like, you know, flogged and beaten, and you've got to carry a cross, and then they hammer nails through you, and you're drowning in your own body fluids. I mean, like, whoa, that's like seriously on the physical level intense. Even in that, he says, you know what? I can still stay in my true awareness. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Yeah.
I.e., pure formless awareness is still there. I'm still there. I'm still connected to it, even in this extreme situation. And I know that actually this is just a very transient experience, and that I will resurrect in a couple of days anyway. So what's the big deal? Let's just let it all go. And that was his final forgiveness lesson, to collapse it completely. And then he was ready for the resurrection. So that's what's going on. You know, it's just a crucifixion resurrection scenario playing out in your life. And if it gets really intense, it means that the ego is worried. The ego is like desperately defending because you've really pushed it the last 5 months.
Yes.
And that's what you want. You know, okay, we'll bring it on here.
Yeah.
You know, let's get this over with. Go through the dark nights of the soul. Go through the abyss. Let's bring on the hero's journey here. This is another thing I reference fairly frequently. So bring that on because you're going through this. This is your only function and your only purpose here is to bring this on. Manage options, consent, whatever. The hero's journey. Okay. I'm not sure I can I blow that up? There we go, something like that. So you've got the call to adventure. You've had that. You've gone through some thresholds where you were like, stop this thing, but you've continued on. So now you're in the challenges and temptations. And it's like big time. It's saying, okay, let's amp this up because she is heading towards enlightenment here, and ego wants to pull you back. It's like last defenses. And that's all happened in 5 months. That's pretty amazing.
It's so helpful to hear this and see this all over again. And it's just like, I need this daily at the moment.
Yeah.
I've missed being online live in the last couple of days because of massive traveling all over the country. And last night I was so beside myself with fatigue, and then had such intense fear, such almighty fear. And then this morning, the landlord here, who is in form, irrational, vindictive, aggressive, rocked up and knocked on my door. So yeah, the big guns are being rolled into position.
Yeah. But this is good because it's like, okay, so I'll just take this to I'll just do what I need to do. I know the answer here, and that's to let go no matter what.
Yeah.
And so, and now the ego is revealing itself. You got the opportunity to do that. Okay, well, you're showing me, attack. Attack knocks on your door this morning. He's angry, right? Vindictive, right? So there's the thought system of attack being demonstrated to you by him. Perfect.
It's her actually. Yeah.
Her.
Yeah.
And that's really helpful. Really, because you're getting to see your own attack thoughts projected out now coming into your dream in the form of this person, showing you this thought system that you're trying to undo, giving you the opportunity to really undo it.
And then a student of the Course in Miracles happened to cycle in.
Hi, Elaine.
Colin. Hey, Elaine.
Hey. Hi. Hello. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, welcome back.
So just to finish, she cycled in, saw what was going on, said, I'll come back later. And over her shoulder, she said, remember, Iona, those who are most difficult to deal with in life are often our best, bring the best messages for us. So I went, cheers, thank you so much. And then turned back to the woman who was
Yes.
Yes.
Those that trigger you, learn from them because they hold them around.
Yeah. So there was right there, you got some help, you see.
Yeah.
Someone said, remember, Iona, remember in your challenge, remember the truth. So the guidance is always there. You are not alone. There are guides, mentors, helpers to help you on this journey. And so you're not alone, and you will do this. It's a done deal. You're going to do this, Iona. You know you're going to do this. Yeah, exactly. It's going to happen because you're not going to give up. You're just going to go, okay, I'm just going to continue. I'm on the path. I've got the bits in my teeth. The finish line is there, and I'm heading for that, and I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to let the ego waylay me. And we all that. It's like we journey with mighty companions. We all like, right, the bits in our teeth, off we go to the finish line. Ego's coming along, but we just it's more like, instead of the flat race, I'm using a horse racing analogy. It's more like the Grand National, isn't it? Because you got these bloody obstacles you got to jump over, which potentially can make you come a cropper. That's kind of what we're on. But the finish line is there nevertheless, and this is that is a marathon of a race. It's like, okay, but you gotta accept that you're in this for the long haul.
Yeah, it is the long haul, isn't it? Yep, definitely.
And you go through periods of intensity like this, and then you probably get a little respite, and it might get a bit easier, and then maybe it gets amped up again. Just, everyone's journey is completely unique and individual, because unwinding your particular version of the ego, which is your karma, is going to be an individual affair. It's the one principle. It's the spirit working, but how that's going to unfold is your journey. That's your hero's journey, and that is actually quite interesting. No one else is going to live that life. You are living your unique awakening experience, your unique journey back to God, and only you can experience that. No one else can. So you want, specialness, uniqueness. Well, there it is, but it's being done within the context of the awakening. So the Holy Spirit's using that now. So, okay, well, this is you've got your unique hero's journey, and that looks different for you compared with Elaine's or Debbie's or Sally's. Everyone's got their journey, and that's your journey to live and to figure out, and that's pretty interesting, I think. What else are you going to do with your life here? So thanks for sharing that. And this is why we do these sessions, because it's constant reminders. You need to be reminded constantly. Okay, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. I remember what's going on. I'm not confused by the ego. Come back to the truth. Come back to the truth. And sometimes, like, the lessons are great, but sometimes a longer, like a deep dive for a couple of hours in a session, just really does it, doesn't it? It just resets you.
Yeah, it's the reset. It's like, okay, thank you. Yes, okay. Onwards.
Onwards and upwards. And this is why, we do a daily practice.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, a week's too long. You've got way, way too much time for the ego to come in a week. It needs to be daily. So they're like, okay, you catch it. You're having super intensity yesterday and this morning. Okay, well, now's the time to really, deepen into the practice. Join a session. Okay, so, join with your mighty companions, the guides, the mentors, the helpers. You're pulling in all the resources to help you to deal with this, onslaught by the ego. Because what else can you do? You have to. You got to, the ego is taking it to another level. Well, the Holy Spirit's saying, you got to take it to another level here, girl. It's like, come on, just up your game here. And I just find that, like, really inspiring to, like, okay, so, like, bring on the tests, because it's in the test that we become the enlightened beings, the avatars that we're meant to be in this world.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. It is.
It's really
happening moment by moment for you. As you sit on the sofa, as you get woken up in the morning by the angry landlord. That's how it's happening for you.
Woo.
Time, and that's pretty interesting. And you look back on these experiences, you go, "Whoa, it was super intense, but what a ride, man! That was like a serious." Well, what else do you want in your life? What an experience, an extraordinary, ordinary experience of Iona's life. Awaits you every day. So it's all good. All good.
Thank you.
It's all happening as it should. The Holy Spirit's got it all. You've got this, and you just need to keep on.
Okay.
Keep on, redouble your efforts, and say, okay, there's only one answer here. One answer to one problem, which is the idea of separation, however it shows up. Okay, so where are we?
And I'm looking forward to meeting you, Iona.
Are you going to join us in Findhorn?
I absolutely am.
Really? Amazing. Okay.
I would love to. I want to hear more about it. I really would.
Okay. Well, I need to put together a bit of information, but
that's really, really fabulous.
I'm so excited. That idea, really, I am.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Lovely, Elaine. That'll be great.
Yeah. Look forward.
And I love listening to your discussions, Iona, and I've been enjoying you too, Sally, because I do listen a lot.
Yeah.
Every day I do something, and I generally do at least a meditation. Some days I do miss, but as Jono says, you just got to keep your finger, just keep in there, keep in there. Understand, we have separated ourselves where all the shit starts. And, you know, it really makes a lot of sense. And although I don't often join in, I really enjoy, I enjoy listening to all of you. It's lovely. And I think you make a brilliant teacher, Anna, honestly. You will. Really, it's inspiring.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to unfold. The retreat is, you know, it's a collaborative effort. You're going to be a teacher as well, and we're going to see what happens after that. But I think it's going to be amazing. I really do. So yeah, we have our first sign up. Hallelujah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, you're the first who sort of said yes. Okay, I'll do it. So,
What, to be a teacher?
No, to join the retreat.
And
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other
I don't
night.
even know the dates, but I'll make a plan. As long as it's not my mother's 90th, which is next month.
No, it's
September.
21st of September to the 26th of
September. That sounds
Put that in your diary, yeah. So that's
I'm going to put it in my diary right now.
Yeah.
And it's
So
going to be
probably
about
want
10
to. I mean,
days.
it's a bit of traveling time. You probably want to, leave on the 19th or the 20th.
Yeah.
Because you got to get from London to fly to London, then probably up to Edinburgh or something.
Yeah.
Catch a train. So there's a number of ways you can do it.
I'm going to book about 2 weeks off there.
Yeah, that would make sense, because then you can stay in Findhorn a bit. And apparently it's the Sunshine Coast of Scotland, so I've been told. So
I've done that game. I've played the transformation game, and it was when I first heard about Findhorn and the story. Yeah. So
maybe we can play the game on the retreat. I'm not even sure how it works.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some experts, resident experts in the transformation game here in the park that I could get in touch with.
Yeah.
Really?
How long does it take to play?
I don't know.
Oh, please look into that, Iona. I think that would be so cool.
Well, we'd give it a local flavor, when in Rome. Do
absolutely.
Transformation game. I think that's how the quote goes.
Yeah. Oh, good. So it's all unfolding. Brilliant. So let's get back to our where are we? Did we read It's a Fundamental Choice? Did we read that one?
That's where we need to start. It's a fundamental choice.
Yeah. Okay. So Elaine, will you read It's a Fundamental Choice to
it's a fundamental choice that you must make in every situation and relationship. If you perceive anyone or anything as separate from you, fear, anger, guilt, and hatred must arise in your mind, because this is what the belief in separation inevitably leads to. As I continue.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, we know at this stage we all know this very well.
Let's just see this.
I just remind myself of it all the time, and every time someone triggers me, and especially when I get that the grievance. You have a grievance. I think, Elaine, it's your grievance. You separated yourself. You are feeling separated. Like I'm ready. I do. I'm starting to get it. That if you are in the right space in the first place, you're not going to have that experience. It's
and
very
you're
profound.
suffering. Your grievance makes you suffer, because you suffer the anger and the guilt and the hatred, and that experience is not a pleasant experience. It's a horrible experience. By comparison to pure formless awareness, it's terrible.
Yeah, and the challenge, until we are enlightened, able to experience pure formless awareness, is to let it go.
All right. Thanks for joining. See you soon, I hope.
And I find sometimes I'm actually able to do that. It's wonderful, but it's not always, and I really have to, even though I'd say to myself, just let it go. All you got to do.
I know, but it's not easy, is it? One simple thing you got to do. Yeshua is saying one simple thing you got to do. That's let it go in every situation.
Just let it go. Let it go.
And yet, it's like that's the sticking point. The ego is like,
you go into the analysis of it, but this and but all your reasons why you can't what the person did, and it's not right, and the injustice and the blah and the blue. why you can't let it go.
Yeah.
You give yourself every reason why you can't and should not let it go.
Yeah. And that's where the rubber meets the road of this. You know, in the situation, are you going to listen to the ego saying no, but I'm well aware that I should let go and forgive, but in this situation, no. This one, no, because they have done this, and that's just totally unacceptable, and I just no. And so then you make the exception. And there the ego's got you. Now you're back in separation. You're back in the whole ego's thought system. Fear, anger, guilt, hatred arise in your mind. You disconnect yourself from your source. You're in an unhappy experience. You spread unhappiness. And the ego's got you on an exception.
And also the need to prove oneself right, I find is a real issue.
Yeah. And then you got
a matter of principle.
Separate self. You know, no, absolutely. Because it's the self that now wants to show that it exists through the situation. No, you don't mess with me. You don't treat me like that.
No.
I'm the man. I'm the girl. No. We know the voice, don't we? Don't mess with me.
Don't fuck
Who's the me? Yeah. Don't F with me. Who's the me?
Don't F with me.
Don't F with me. Yeah, but that's totally an ego statement, isn't it?
Totally.
Who's the me then? Can only be a separate self.
The separate self.
I'm important, and don't mess with me. But the problem is, the more that you believe in that, the more the world will mess with you, because you're making yourself into a separate self. So you're a target. You're a moving target for the ego if you identify with a separate self. So Yeshua's asked, he's just giving us the way out. So just drop it. There's no separate self. You think this is so important and real and meaningful, but there is nothing. There's nothing there. Just a bunch of false beliefs that really mean nothing. Okay.
Should I continue?
Yes, but you
could just as easily perceive the life essence in any person or living thing as the same as your life essence. And if you hold this perception in mind, you start experiencing a sense of your oneness with a person or thing, which is the all-pervading, all-encompassing, transcendent love of which Amit Ray speaks. Therefore, whether you experience this universal love or not.
Was it there? So that sentence, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's that thing which it's something I'm familiar with. It's like having that experience of truly loving someone else for the essence. And like I know I am capable of that, and I am able to have those experiences. So it's not totally foreign to me, that idea, but to live in that space, especially when there's conflict or stress or this or that or the next thing, it's just about impossible. It actually is impossible when you're not in the right way. When one is sort of revved up, something's really upset me, okay, and I feel really very like taken advantage of, or badly treated, or disrespected, or any such like. It's like how it is almost impossible to experience a feeling of oneness with that individual.
Yeah, if you're in that misperception, if you remain in that misperception, then yes. And this is why Yeshua's given us the correction. He's saying, well, just correct.
Let it go. If you don't let it go for the first step, then you cannot move into this thing of the oneness.
No, possible.
Like we're the same. There's nothing to. No, really, I completely get it intellectually.
Well, that's the first step, but then it's to practice it so that it's experientially.
Yeah, no, the awareness is there. It's not like I look at this and think, no, I don't think I can really, this does not make sense to me, because I wouldn't be doing this course.
No.
One wouldn't be able to do it.
No.
If one didn't agree with the essence of what is being said here.
No. The logic is impeccable. You can't fault Yeshua's logic is impeccable. You can't break it. No. What he says makes complete sense because it's the truth. But then it's just
Yeah.
applying it and not letting the ego come in and sidetrack you. So we're talking about, the ego will demand many answers that this course doesn't give. So it'll ask, how did the impossible occur? To what did the impossible happen? And may ask this in many forms. So whenever you delayed in your letting go, then it's actually asking this. Oh, okay, well, why did this happen to me? Someone's done something, unfair apparently. Well, why did this happen to me? How did I attract that? And then you go and you try and analyze it. Well, what it does, it makes the impossible real. Makes the situation
that's
real
dangerous.
and that's dangerous because you just made it real. So
and then you start feeling shit about yourself as well. Never mind about the other person, but then you start the self flagellation.
Yeah. Well,
which is
why
even
did I
worse.
attract this? Oh, well, that's a very unconscious thing.
I always do this, and
I always do this to myself, and no.
You have yourself to blame, and when are you going to learn? And
so then you beat yourself up. But he's saying there is no answer to this question of, well, how did the impossible occur? Or to what did the impossible happen? Because you're not going to get an intellectual answer to that, right? The answer is an experience that transcends the entire domain of the ego, an experience that takes you back into pure formless awareness. And that experience comes when you fully let go. Okay, it's not real. I drop the thought, I drop the emotion, and I return my mind to that experience. Now I have an experience that tells me in that experience that all of this is unreal, because I've got an experience. I can experience this pure formless awareness where this thought system is not there. It's gone. It might come back, but for that instant, that holy instant, he calls it, there was no ego. There was no belief in separation. So therefore, I know that it is possible to have an experience where there's no ego. There's no belief in separation. And if I can keep doing that instant by instant, then I'm training my mind to stay there for eternity. And this is the mind training that he's asking us to do. And he's saying this is actually your only way out. There's no other way. You've got to correct your mind at the level of the error, where you made the error. In this world, all these things arising, that's where you got to now correct it by changing your perception. So it's this all-encompassing, all-pervading, all-encompassing, transcendent love that comes when you let go, right? He's saying forgiveness or letting go is the key to that. You will experience that when you fully let go, and there's nothing else that's going to bring that. You have to let go. Okay, and then the last sentence.
Should I carry on?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Therefore, whether you experience this universal love or not depends on your perceptions, which is why you are practicing the workbook lessons and other mind training material in this Art of Letting Go club program every day. By doing the mind training exercises this program recommends you do every day, you're systematically training your mind to perceive everyone and everything you think is in the external world correctly, i.e., as the same as you in essence, so you can consistently experience this universal love and the peace and joy that inevitably go with it.
And that state is what they would call samadhi in the Eastern teaching, in yoga. Samadhi, 8th limb of yoga. A lot of people think that just means you're sitting and blissing out. Well, it can be that. You can sit in deep meditation. People do that, but it means a sameness of perception. The root word it means sameness. So I see everything as myself. That's samadhi. I see everything as my essence is their essence. I see beyond the illusion of separation to the sameness, and I reside in that knowledge, and I live my life from that place. That's unconditional love. So love is not I love you. I can't love you. I can't love a separate person. That's not possible. That's why special love is a delusion. I love you. I, separate self, love you, separate self. It's not possible. All you can do is believe in is perpetuate the belief in separation. If you say that, it's I am you. Namaste. I see you. I am you. That's the unconditional love we're talking about.
We
I really feel that. We are one. I see you. I see you. I see you. I am you. And I hold that with every person. Now I'm in the state of samadhi. Now I live as the enlightened being that I'm meant to be in this world. And it's just a perceptual shift in every moment. Yeah, I am you. There isn't really another person. There's not really two people. There's not really four people on this call. There aren't four people here. It's just one presence that's now speaking through me, and then it speaks through Iona or speaks through Elaine. You see what I mean? It's just one. It's one awareness that's actually directing it all. When you start to get that, that's just amazing. I'm not an individual. I'm not separate. And although we apparently separate on the level of form, we're in different parts of the country, different parts of the world. We have different bodies. We have different lives. That's just an illusion. That's not true. What's happening here is the joining of one awareness, one mind in this universal awareness. And that's why these sessions work. It's like it's a joining. We come together and there's actually we're all one. And that's what gets communicated through this technology we've invented. It's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, if you haven't watched this video, I'd really recommend watching it. It's a really good take on the one problem. David Hoffmeister talks about the one problem we all have, which is a perceptual problem. And that's always your problem. You think you've got relationship issues. You think you've got financial issues. You think you've got problems with the government, whatever it is. No, you have a perceptual problem. Which brings it back to, well, this problem's in my mind. It's in my perception. So therefore, I can correct it. Now I invite the answer, which is the letting go of the idea of separation. That's the one problem. So acknowledging that you have one perceptual problem immediately invites the answer. Yeah. And so he's saying that's the first step. If you're going to do this and you're going to accept this course, you have to accept, yes, I have a fundamental perceptual problem. And that's showing up all the time. Every problem I think I have is actually just that one problem. And therefore there's one answer to it, which is to let it go, to let go of my misperception that I'm a separate self, seemingly experiencing separation. So definitely worth watching if you haven't. Okay, so that brings us to our lesson finally. So let's have a little read of that, and we'll do a bit of translation of it. So just going to copy into, actually, let's just, does anyone need a comfort break for a minute or two while I do this? Anyone need a break? Now's the time. I'll just get this set up and then we'll go for it. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so lesson 124. Whack that in there, and then we'll let's go into here. Let me remember I am one with God. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so there we go. Paste it into the right document. So this one is, let me remember I'm one with God. Let me remember I'm one with love. And go into the first paragraph, shall we? One with God. So Sally, do you want to read the main idea, translate it, and then do the first paragraph for us, please?
Let me remember I am one with God. Today we will again give thanks for our identity in God. Our home is safe, protection guaranteed in all we do, power and strength available to us in all our undertakings. We can fail in nothing. Everything we touch takes on a shining light that blesses and that heals. At one with God and with the universe, we go our way rejoicing, with the thought that God himself goes everywhere with us.
Okay, so we'll just do a little translation of that. What I'm going to do, just to speed things up a bit, is I'm going to do a little replace. "13 replacements." So there we go, and the rest. So if you want to read the alternative, just paste it in there.
Let me remember I am love. Today we will again give thanks for identity in pure formless awareness of perfect love. Our home is safe, protection guaranteed in all we do, power and strength available in all our undertakings. We can fail in nothing. Everything we touch takes on a shining light that blesses and that heals. At one pure formless awareness of perfect love, and with the universe we go our way rejoicing, with the thought that pure formless awareness of perfect love himself goes everywhere with us. It goes.
Yeah, itself.
Everywhere with us.
Goes everywhere with us. Okay. Any thoughts on that? Nice opening.
Yeah, it feels nice that we can't fail at anything. Feels very relaxing.
Everything we touch takes on a shining light that blesses and that heals. So this is the reinterpretation of the Holy Spirit that then leads to the happy dream. And then we get guided to be this presence, to be this awareness in the world. We go away rejoicing. So it's the happy dream with the thought that pure formless awareness of perfect love itself goes everywhere with us. As it's your fundamental awareness. This is what he's saying. It's your base awareness. It's the ground of being without which you would have no existence. Of course it's going everywhere with you. How could it not? You would have no life without it. It seems to be completely self-evident, doesn't it? God is with you always because it's your fundamental awareness. Without that, you would have no awareness of anything. But it's been obscured by the belief in separation. It's just covered it over. Now he's just saying, well, remember this again. And we are safe in it. Our home is safe. Protection guaranteed. Power and strength available to us in all our undertakings. So he's saying this can translate into the world as safety, protection, a guarantee that you can't fail in anything. Because whatever you're doing, you're going towards God. You're rooted in that awareness. So how can you be failed? That's success. To stay rooted in true awareness is success, whatever the outcome and the level of form is. That's true success, isn't it? to stay in this awareness. So then you relax. You're like, well, I can't fail. I'm just in this awareness, and it's all fine. Everything's fine, no matter what's happening on the level of form. Okay, so any other thoughts on that?
No, all looks good to me.
Right, happy with. So let's copy this to number 2, and so Iona, if you can read the paragraph 2 for us, please.
Yeah. Holy are our minds, and everything we see reflects the holiness within the place at one with God and with itself. How easily do errors disappear and death give place to everlasting life. Our shining footprints point the way to truth, for God is our companion as we walk the world a little while. And those who come to follow us will recognize the way because the light we carry stays behind, yet all remains with us as we walk on. Very beautiful.
So alternatively,
How holy are how
aware, maybe?
yeah,
How truly aware.
how truly aware.
That's quite nice. How truly aware are our minds.
Nice. And everything we see reflects the true awareness within the mind at one with pure formless awareness of perfect love. Jana, could you make it slightly bigger, please?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
Zoom into. Let's make it 130, shall we? How's that?
Oh,
Better?
much more comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How easily do errors disappear and death give place to everlasting life? Yeah. Our shining footprints point the way to truth. I mean, I love shining footprints. Happy to leave it.
Yeah, I think some of the imagery is lovely. You know, we don't want to completely do away with all of that.
Good.
Our shining footprints. How would you translate that? Take away the imagery. Our shining, our
history.
Footprints. Well, it's something to do with our actions. Our actions. You know, our shining footprints. Our aware actions point the way to truth.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah.
You can, if you want. Shining footprints point the way to truth. Or we keep the imagery.
Keep the imagery. I think it's so nice.
Yeah.
What
do you think?
You can put in brackets, maybe.
No, well, we don't do the brackets.
Don't do brackets.
Well, that's why it's a repeat, because the brackets and the slashes were like slashing the course up.
Happy trying to get away from that.
Yeah, so it's actually a clean, you know, you read it, the alternative, and it's just a clean reading without brackets, and so then you just decide. Sometimes we change the imagery, like light and darkness. Sometimes we leave it, just depending. So as the consensus, we leave it.
I believe so, but there's another example, which is our shining examples. Our shining example, but that can be in a faintly sort of ironic, comedic sense in the English language. Or you be the shining example.
Yes. Yeah.
I think shining footprints point the way to truth.
Yeah. No, I think that's nice. I think the understanding is what footprints are is clear.
Yeah.
Shining, you know, what we leave in time and space.
Yeah. For pure formless
but our footprints, I mean, our footprints are not always all that shiny. I mean, in the dead, you know,
No, but if
They're awful footprints as well.
if
But
we're in
those
the
are not the
holiness,
ones that point the way to the truth.
no. But if we start coming into true awareness, then we do have shining footprints. Then our let's change it and see. Let our enlightened actions
and awareness.
Oh, enlightened actions.
Something like that. Our enlightened
Quite clever.
actions, our enlightened
See, yeah.
words. Enlightened word and actions. Does that? The only reason to translate is it makes it more accessible, and there's a depth of understanding that then that translation leads to.
Do you know
about intentions?
I am persuaded with words and actions. I think that's very good. Our enlightened words and actions point the way to truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because but what about intentions as well? Because sometimes even if the intent is there, it's not just because maybe you may not have the action, but
I think footprints.
I think even the intent will lead us in the right kind of way.
Yeah, of
it's
course.
Pure.
Yeah. I think that the translation of footprints implies some tangible mark in the sands of time, doesn't it? So that's our words and our actions.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah. So I think let's stick to, I agree, intentions, but that's really coming from our awareness. So intentions will sit within the domain of awareness. So we're looking at the in terms of the integral model. Just have a little, because this is really what we're dealing with here. We're talking in different quadrants. So intentions is the intentional domain. That's the domain of awareness. So the holy awareness, the holiness, and then he's talking about the footprints being the behavior. So that's observed behaviors and performance outcomes. Those are your footprints in the sands of time, which are your words and your actions. Okay, so happy to go with that enlightened words and actions translation.
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Enlightened words and actions point the way to truth for, sorry, you read the rest, huh?
For pure formless awareness of perfect love is our companion as we walk the world a little while. And those who come to follow us will recognize the way, because the light or the true awareness we carry stays behind, yet remains with us as we walk on. Yes.
Yeah, it still remains with us as we walk on.
Yeah.
So I noticed you skipped still a couple of times. That's interesting. When you read the original and there. Isn't that interesting?
Did I?
Yes, you did, yeah. Still remains. So there's a double meaning to still.
Yeah.
Because it's still, it remains, there's that sense, but then still actually refers to the stillness of mind, the peace. So this stillness of our true awareness.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, interesting. You skipped it twice. I just thought I'd point that out. A little Freudian skip there.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. So, any thoughts on that?
A pointer to why we're here, walking the world a little while, and the one function of our lives. The disappearance of errors and the everlasting life as we let go our belief in big sigh in this world and our mistaken adherence to our errors. They're only errors.
You got to listen to, if you listen to David Hoffmeister's talk, the perceptual problem one.
I think I have, yeah.
It's worth listening to again. It's quite funny. He's very humorous. He says, you are so stubborn. He says, just lifetime after lifetime, going on thinking that you know the truth and not being willing to accept that you have a perceptual problem. He says reincarnation is just the stubborn belief that you do not have a perceptual problem, which is an interesting way to frame it. You know, stubbornly going on and just not accepting the obvious truth that yes, I have a fundamental perceptual problem here. When I accept that, then I can begin the healing.
Yeah.
If I don't accept that, I just keep doing the same thing over and over again, believing that I'm right, which is the definition of insanity, as Einstein pointed out. Keep doing the same thing over and over again, keep getting the same result, and never changing. Just carrying on doing what doesn't work. Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And so finally, you know, in this lifetime, you're waking up and you're going, no, okay, it's enough.
Enough.
You know, that's just a dead end. It's going nowhere. Finally, I'm willing to come into my true awareness and free myself. What did you say, Len?
I'm saying, well, you just got to be willing to admit you have a perceptual problem. It's just really as simple as that.
Yeah.
Yes.
To heal any addiction, I mean, the recovery movement, this principle shows very, very, very clearly. You have to acknowledge you are an alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever it is in order to heal it. If you think that you don't have a problem, you know, I'm not an alcoholic, I don't have a drinking problem, then you're going to think it's fine and you carry on drinking because there's no problem. So denying the problem isn't going to fix the problem. You must acknowledge it first in order to begin the healing process, and that's what he's saying. Yeah, with the perceptual problem.
Well, I think the thing is, you know, it begins with the awareness, so that's the first step in the right direction. But it's the belief. It's converting the awareness to a belief, changing the belief, really changing the deeply held belief.
But it starts with awareness. Okay, I have a problem.
It starts with awareness.
I have a problem here. I have a perceptual problem caused by some false beliefs. That's okay. I recognize that's my problem. And in fact, it's my only problem. It keeps showing up in various forms, however that, you know, plays out. You know, for you, Iona, in the last 24 hours, you know, intense fear last night and then a knock on your door this morning from an angry landlord. But that's the perceptual problem showing up in those forms. See? Then you just reckon, okay, but this is my perceptual problem showing up again. And it's not out there. It's my problem. I have a fundamental perceptual problem. And I keep getting these situations arising because I still have the problem. But the problem, as it shows up, is an invitation to correct the problem. It's an invitation to now allow the answer to come in to this problem and correct my mind in this moment, real time. And that's the purpose of my life. So the more the perceptual problem shows up and shows its face in whatever situation, the more opportunity I have to correct it. So that's all good. You know, bring it on. That's what I want. Because this will help me undo this perceptual problem. Okay?
Good.
Can you give a summary of that for us?
Just this paragraph?
Yeah. Try and do it without the text.
Oh, that's what back into myself. I think it's selling it.
Take it away. Can you remember? I think maybe we'll start doing that. Okay, so you can't see that. So what was that about?
Yeah, I'm leaving not my shining footprints, but my and we didn't go with example after all.
No.
Oh, blimey. And it's staying with me. And this is my only function in this world to let go. Let me remember I am one with God. That's the title of the lesson. Wow.
Shall I help you out? Shall I reveal it?
Oh, you got me on that one.
It's interesting how you can read something and it's like, oh, what did I just read? It's like,
I know, but I was into the next, but I was thinking about the perceptual problem and the landlord and the fear and la 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 la. How truly aware are our minds? How truly aware once we've given them over to pure formless awareness. And once we've made that step, given it our minds right over to pure formless awareness, all the errors disappear, and we leave our enlightened words and actions point the way to truth and remain with us still as we walk the world. And those who come after us, who come after us, this is an important point for me actually, because sometimes I get hijacked in my mind about, well, Iona, you really can't really afford to let go because you've got 4 young people, you know, who are really not that enlightened yet. And you got to
these are children.
And that's what the ego will say, that I'm not really allowed to do this. While they are apparently struggling in their egoic world. So this important sentence that I read, those who come to follow us will recognize the way because of the true awareness we carry stays behind, yet still remains with us. So change my perception.
So wherever you go, what he's saying, so you go anywhere, and if you're in this awareness, your words and your actions leave a trace, an enlightened trace. They leave these footprints in the sand for others to follow. And so that plays out in form in many ways. That could be, we're doing recordings daily, so those recordings are now there forever for anyone to listen to. That leaves a trace for anyone in years to come who wants to listen to these sessions. They're there, you see. So that's one way. Your paintings is another way. Your example to your children, like, okay, your mom is doing some crazy stuff. Maybe they think, she's into some alternative stuff, probably. Like, we're not quite sure about this, but by your example, you leave behind a residue. So when finally you lay your body aside, they might go, you know what, actually, Mom, I remember some of those things she told me. I'm in my darkest hour now. I remember what she said. What was that thing of course, maybe I should check it out. Cool. Now she just starts doing a deep dive. And actually, there's like hundreds of hours of my mom recorded on YouTube. I can actually listen to this.
Kids, I'm always around.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we leave a legacy. So what he's talking about here is the legacy you leave behind.
Sure. I never thought of a YouTube legacy, I have to say, but I never thought of that.
Yeah, but these sessions, who knows, in times to come, hundreds of people, thousands of people might watch them and go, wow, actually, Iona's a superstar. She's like, do you see what I mean? Because your example is inspiring to people. They will then go, okay, wow, now I want to see the next episode. What was the next session? Because it's interesting to see someone unwind their mind. And they're doing it real time live on YouTube. It's like a reality show, isn't it? So we should well, let's see how it unfolds. The Spirit's going to direct it all. But this is most interesting. Surely this is really interesting for people to watch real time how someone unwinds their mind and the things that they go through. And this is all happening on YouTube on the Sacred Sofa. I think that's pretty interesting. And as Elaine says, like you listen and it's like I enjoy the whole dynamic of these chats. It's not the same. If I do a monologue, it's never going to be the same. It can't be the same as an energy with a number of people in a discussion, can it?
All of us.
And Iona, talking of children, of which I have 3. I think the most valuable thing that I've learned from the shamanism course I'm doing, which is such a completely different approach. And I mean, any spiritual path really is it's just a pathway. That's all. It's a different path. But the most useful thing about it, that it teaches you and reinforces, is that you put yourself first. yourself first, then life, then others. It's very, very fundamental, and just getting your head around that is huge. You can just drop the guilt and the bullshit and the feeling responsible and actually take care of yourself, because first, always.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier once your kids have grown up as well, because
I do.
they really are under you realize how responsible you are for them. But when I still as a parent get to that point where you just let them go as well, let them go.
I mean, your kids are all in their 20s, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
30s.
No, so they're adults. So
But it was a big thing
Out of the
for
nest.
me, and it's something that I've actually sort of come to understand, and it's been incredibly liberating, because I actually am doing that now.
Excellent.
without guilt. Okay, every now and again it kicks in, the guilt and all the rest around children. But really, I've also just come to realize also they chose their parents, they chose their journey, they've got their journey.
Yeah.
I've done my best. They chose what they got as well. It was what they needed to learn, and the best way I can do for them actually is to put myself first, by leaving the shining footprints and the light behind, by taking care of yourself first and your journey. And it's a very, very big one, that.
That's brilliant. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
It's truly helpful.
Yeah.
That's the the wisdom that comes through in these sessions, so that everyone can contribute and really from their experience, which is similar to yours, because you're both mothers. Can really be very helpful. And I agree. I think you've got to. The great danger of parenthood is especially mothers do this, don't they? They completely subsume themselves into their children. And it's like, not me, like everything's now the child, and I feel like I've just lost myself. And that's not the way. That's not spiritually healthy to do that.
And not only our children, but others as well, our partners, our friends.
Yeah.
Because it's not only they come third, others. It's you first, then life, and then others.
Friends, I'm going to have to depart because I've got an optometrist appointment, but I'm going to be online later.
Okay.
8:45 tonight.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Join us. So what I would say, just in closing, is we're moving in now. We chapter 15. The next 9 chapters are about the special relationship. So pay attention, because he's devoted 9 chapters. That's about a third. It's about 30% of the text to the special relationship, for a reason. Because he's saying, okay, so this is where the ego gets you time and time again, the special relationships that you formed. And these 9 chapters are the undoing of that in your mind. That's why he's devoted so much time to it. So try and join in the evenings, because that's when we do the text.
Great.
Yeah. So 9:30 your time, Elaine, tonight, if you can join. I know it's quite late, but join for an hour or as long as you can.
See you later.
See you later, Anna. Thanks for joining.
Nice to see you.
Bye. Okay, so where are we? Number 5, I think. Where are we? Number 4? No. 3. No, we're on 3. Sorry, I'm just jumping ahead there. Okay. So number 3, whose turn is it? Sally, will you read number 3 for us? Kindly.
What we receive is our eternal gift to those who follow after, to those who went before and stayed with us a while. And God, who loves us with the equal love in which we were created, smiles on us and offers us the happiness we gave. Alternative. Yeah. What we receive is our eternal gift to those who follow after, and to those who went before or stayed with us a while. And pure, formless awareness of perfect love, who loves us with the equal love in which we were created, smiles on us and offers us the happiness we gave. Oh, which loves us? Yeah, okay.
Because it's not personalized, which loves us with the equal love in which we were created. Then we capitalize love. What do you think?
Okay.
In which we were and created. You remember what we translate as created?
Extended.
Yeah. Smiles on us and offers us the happiness we gave. So any thoughts on that?
No, it's just nice to think that it's an eternal gift that we can share. Yeah, it's just love, isn't it? We get there, have happiness.
So as you allow this love to come through you, then happiness is the consequence. Don't seek for happiness of itself, just seek to love, and happiness will follow. That's the simple truth.
Yeah, feels nice.
The happiness that we gave.
Mm.
Okay, happy with that one?
Yep, thank you.
All right, number 4. Elaine?
Today we will not doubt his love for us, nor question his protection and his care. No meaningless anxieties can come between our faith and our awareness of his presence. We are one with him today in recognition and remembrance. We feel him in our hearts. Our minds contain his thoughts. Our eyes behold his loveliness in all we look upon. Today we see only the loving and the lovable.
Okay. Translated?
Today we will not doubt his love for us, nor question his protection and his care.
It's love. And so interesting, they've got love there capitalized and then love there is small, isn't it? So he loves us with equal love. So yeah, we'll capitalize it. Not doubt its love for us, nor question its protection.
And it's care. I mean, it says our faith and our awareness of his presence. We are one with him today in recognition and remembrance. What do we use for remembrance?
No, remember, we normally translate the Holy Spirit as the remembrance of love, the remembrance of oneness.
Oh, so that's already been translated.
So that's fine. Remembrance is fine.
Because it's a remembrance of oneness when you refer to remembrance.
The one with, I think let's put in a pure form. Sometimes there's too many it's. We are one with pure formless awareness of perfect love today in recognition and remembrance. We feel it in our hearts.
When you say remembrance, it's remembrance of oneness, right?
Yeah. The remembrance of this oneness is the Holy Spirit in our minds. Our minds contain its thoughts. Our eyes behold its loveliness. And all we look upon. They're saying everything's transformed from this true awareness, your thoughts and your perceptions, what you see. Behold, or yeah, I think we can leave that. So we normally change seeing to perceiving, but in this sense, he's talking about our eyes. So it's actually what we see. So we'll keep that. Today we see only the loving. Here. So see, I think that needs to be changed to perceive. Today we perceive only the loving and the lovable. Okay? Any thoughts on that?
Goes back to the vet again. Perceiving her lovingly.
Yeah.
All that she speaks about as lovable.
So all of that, fear that came in, that's not true. You just don't focus on that. You go, that's false, that's illusion. Actually, underneath that is this loving awareness. This person is the same as me. And so let me perceive only that. And that's the mind training. We've been trained to do that, to not take just appearances on face value, to look beyond and say, okay, well, if it's the ego that's been shown, then that's not true. And actually underneath that is pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is my own true awareness and the other person's awareness too. And I perceive only that, the loving and the lovable. And that is the enlightened perception. That's samadhi, when you can do that. Then you stay in this awareness. Let me remember that I am one with God. Then you stay rooted in that awareness. So it's now affecting your entire perception of everything. Which leads us nicely to the next one.
And then again, about the meaningless anxieties, because it's not only about the way we perceive others, it's very much about the way we perceive ourselves.
Yeah.
It can be even more brain damaging than the way we perceive others. That's the worst brain damage.
So how you perceive others is how you perceive yourself. That's how it goes. So I perceive others and I see the ego in them, then guess what? The ego in me I'm perceiving that. And that's what's arising in my awareness. Which is why to forgive others is to forgive yourself. Because then you don't have that misperception going on in your mind. You don't suffer the anxiety. To be in anxiety is to be in hell. It's a hellish state. Living as a helpless, enervated little life. All these anxieties is never going to bring you happiness. So it's a real call to, he's just calling us again to this enlightened state and saying, you can do this. This is available to you. And even in the appearances of pain and distress, you can see it. Yeah, do you want to read number 5 for us, Sally?
We see it in appearances of pain, and pain gives way to peace. We see it in the frantic, in the sad, and the distressed, the lonely and afraid, who are restored to the tranquility and peace of mind in which they were created. And we see it in the dying and the dead as well, restoring them to life. All this we see because we saw it first within ourselves. Okay.
And that one's specially for you. Did you clock the first one? The first time?
I know.
I don't know if Elaine knows. Tell Elaine what your previous name was.
I used to be called Sally Payne, and I changed it to Sally Peace. So Payne Peace is like thinking about myself.
Oh.
Really?
Pain gives way to peace, literally.
Yeah, it's really
did that in form. So so in those appearances of pain, it gives way to peace if you do the correction, if you can truly let go. I think maybe we should change this to perceive. So let's do the translation then.
What is being said here, that we can perceive this state of enlightenment or oneness in appearances of pain.
Yeah.
So even within the pain, we can see the light if we just change our perception. But if we change our perception, there won't be any pain to look into.
Exactly. Pain gives way to peace. That's what he's saying.
No, but it says we perceive it in appearances of pain.
Yeah. So that's where you start.
In other words, it's acknowledging
so there's an appearance of pain, but it gives way to peace if you perceive it correctly.
I don't quite understand that. How we perceive, if you say we perceive, let's say God or pure formless awareness in appearances of pain. How is that possible?
So let's go back to the it that he's talking about. Today we perceive only the loving and the lovable. Okay, only the loving and the lovable is the last sentence. So we perceive it.
We see the loving and the loving, and so we see the
that's
loving and the lovable.
In appearances of pain, and pain gives way to peace.
In appearances of pain.
So someone shows up and is in pain, and emotional pain, physical pain. You see that is really just a cry for love. That underneath that, this person is still love. They're still loving and lovable, and in your mind, there's no pain.
Okay.
You don't give pain any kind of reality, and in doing that, you can possibly help that other person to heal, because you're holding the freedom of this peaceful, pure formless awareness for them. And this is how true healing happens. Yeshua did his healings because he simply held this light so strongly that people who were apparently in pain would believe, and they would just drop it, and in that moment they were healed because they no longer believed in it, and then physical healing happened. So he just didn't. The way he healed was he just didn't see the pain. He didn't see the sickness. He just held them in true awareness. Said, "You only light. You are still this true awareness." And then pain gives way to peace. Okay.
All right.
So we'll change perceive to see to perceive. Perceive it in the frantic, in the sad, in the distressed, the lonely, and afraid. Restored to the tranquility and peace of mind in which they were created. So it's saying in every situation, all these appearances of the ego, and he's naming them: pain, sadness, distress, loneliness, afraid, fear. And in those situations, we can still perceive the loving and the lovable. So we can perceive that those people who are distressed and lonely and afraid and sad are still love. They are still this true awareness underneath all of this. This is just a covering or a mask that they've believed in, but it's not true. And so we see that this true awareness is still in them, and therefore it is in our awareness. We restore it to our awareness when we change our perception in this way. And we see it even in the dying and the dead, and restoring them to life. Because we see that this idea of death isn't true. They're not really dying. They're letting go. They're laying aside an illusion of a body that didn't even really exist. It was a figment of their imagination, and they're just laying aside that. And that seems like death in this world. But actually, there's only eternal life. So by holding this higher awareness, we actually restore everyone to this awareness, to this life. And all this we perceive because we saw it, because we perceive it first within ourselves. So it's inside out. We must connect with our source. Let me remember I'm one with God, coming back to the lesson. We must feel that in order to perceive it out in the external. It's an inside-out job. Enlightenment is an inside job, one could say. Okay. So any thoughts on that, Sally?
Powerful stuff, isn't it?
Mm.
To see beyond the pain and just see the peace. And yeah, as somebody's dying, to be able to see the oneness, that we all are is really special, isn't it?
Mm.
You often get that at death as well, don't you? You sometimes get that sense of the oneness at that point, as you're in that now moment.
Well, death is an opening into this dimension. So a massive big error. It's a huge opening into pure formless awareness. If you allow it to be, if you see it that way, so, and you can experience that because that person is like opening the dimension. When they're dying, if you're sitting with them, you can often experience that peace because it's the mind opening into that awareness, and we're not separate. Your mind is so you can experience some of the peace that they're experiencing.
Because at the deathbed, you're sitting with them. You're unlikely to be thinking ego thoughts, are you? As you're at that last moment, so you're able to perceive that last moment.
Well, death puts life into perspective, doesn't it? It's like, okay, so all of this, whatever dramas and issues and problems that you had,
can let it go.
Yeah,
you can let it go.
It's all going. Your entire life is just gonna disappear now. So what did it all mean? Is any of it really important? And so it brings us to that awareness very sharply. So yeah, nothing else matters. You're sitting at someone's deathbed, you realize, well, like what are my problems then? Really?
And especially if both parties can realize that, both the dying and the loved one, at that moment, you can both let go.
Yeah.
That you really, it is, I mean, it's an opportunity for a very profound
experience.
Yeah. And learning opportunity to actually change your beliefs.
So Eckhart Tolle's got a nice little quote. He says, what will become of all the fearing and wanting that populates your awareness and seems to dominate your life. He says, a dash, a couple of inches long between the date of your birth and the date of your death on your gravestone. That's what it all is. That's what it all comes down to. And then he says to the ego, this is depressing. It's like, well, what's the point of any of it? But to you, the real you, it's awakening. It's a happy thought. It's inspiring because you realize, what was all that? None of it meant anything. A dash, 2 inches long, all of that drama, a dash, that's it. You go to a gravestone, you look at a gravestones, and you just look at all these people who had these lives and all the dramas and whatever went on in their life, and what's left?
It's just a dash.
A dash. So what did any of it really mean? Well, the dramas that they experienced in their life, well, now it's all gone, isn't it? It's all over. So it gives you a sense of ultimate perspective of like, well, what does any of this mean? While it's occurring, this will just become part of the dash, and none of it will be remembered. You go to gravestones, people who died even 50 years ago, no one remembers them. It's just like a dash. You go, this person who had a name and a form and an identity, and they might have thought their life was really important, all their problems were really important at the time. Nothing's left of it, just a dash, and no one even remembers any of it. I mean, if that doesn't humble you, then nothing really will. So death is then the opening into this dimension of pure formless awareness, if you allow it to be, which is what he's alluding to here. You see it in the dying and the dead as well, restoring them to life. The awareness of pure formless awareness is the life essence that we all share. And we perceive it outside of us in the external appearances because we perceive it first within ourselves. So hence the lesson, let me remember I am one with this awareness. I am one with pure formless awareness of perfect love. Let me remember that. because that will fundamentally change my perception of everything in this world, if I remember that. Okay, happy with number 5?
Okay, no miracle can ever be denied to those who know that they are one with God. No thought of theirs, but has the power to heal all forms of suffering in anyone, in times gone by and times yet to come, as easily as in the ones who walk beside them now. Their thoughts are timeless and apart from distance, as apart from time.
Okay, so let's translate it.
No miracle can ever be known to those who know that they are one with pure formless awareness of perfect love. No thought of theirs. It has the power to heal all forms of suffering in anyone.
So let's change that, I think. This there's a double negative there. So we go, every thought has the power.
Every thought. You could say every thought. You don't need of theirs. Every thought has the power.
Well, he's referring to those who know that they are one with pure formless awareness. So every thought of theirs references
has the power to heal all forms of suffering in anyone, in times gone by and times as yet to come, as easily as in the ones who walk beside them now.
So he's referring there to time and how this is timeless.
Yeah. It's in the moment, it's in the past, it's in the future.
No, if you really do this, you are actually healing across the timeline. So you correct a false thought now, you're actually healing all of this. At one moment works across time, past, future. You are changing things on a level you can't really conceive of when you let go. But you don't have to, because you just have to do it, and then the results happen. He says the miracle, which is this letting go, is the only device you have at your disposal for controlling time. And he's just alluding to that here. So you can heal all forms of suffering in the past, in the future, right now, because it's timeless. What you're going into, this pure formless awareness, transcends time. So it's not limited in what it can do.
And what is the miracle he's referring to? Being in that realization, correcting the perception. Is that the miracle?
Yeah. Miracle is just a correction of perception. So you correct your perception by letting go, saying, well, I see the appearance of pain, but I don't believe it. I let it go, I restore my mind to peace. That's the miracle. Now that has profound impact across time and space, which you can't even begin to fathom what that does. But you don't have to. That's the Holy Spirit's working all this out for you. So you just do what you need to do, and you trust the outcome is going to be the miraculous one. So you can actually start collapsing time by doing this, because ultimately that's what you're doing. By letting go, you are collapsing time. You are letting go of the need for a timeline. None of this needs to happen if you're in pure formless awareness. So you're bringing the dream to an end and affecting it on a quantum level across time and space in ways no one can really conceive of this stuff. It's too far beyond our intellectual minds.
So this whole time illusion comes in through mental activity of thinking about the past, analyzing what happened, worrying about the future, not being in the moment. It's creating the illusion of time.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just sitting in pure formless awareness and love, there's nothing to think about.
Yeah.
And therefore, is that right? And therefore, the concept of time is not available to you, really.
He's saying their thoughts are timeless. Okay, so there's no past and no future in your awareness, apart from distance as apart from time. So apart from space, maybe we should change that too. Because this is what he's talking about here, space and time. This is the construct of the illusion that the ego has projected to convince us that separation is true and real. Space and time. And they are connected. You can't have time without space. Do you see that? Because time is how we measure changes in our 3D world. So if something changes, we go, oh, well, time elapsed between that and that. Time is the measurement of change, isn't it? And in order for change to happen, you need to have space to act out these dramas, whatever's happening. Okay, so I said this, I did this, then this happened. Now you have karma, you have cause and effect, playing out in space and time. But that whole construct is not true. So letting go just collapses it and says, no, only pure formless awareness is true. So take your mind back to pure formless awareness, which is eternal, and this entire space-time cause-effect dream just collapses. It's not real. It's not true. It's not necessary anymore. You don't need it in pure formless awareness. It was a departure. It's the result of a split, a denial of this. That's why time and space came about. And you can heal it in every moment by simply applying this, teaching of truly letting go. And then you live in the domain of the miraculous, which is hugely powerful. You are collapsing time and space with every thought, word, and action. And we see in people like Yeshua, if someone really lives in that consciousness, look at what he did. It's like, how did he do all that stuff? Because he's just working on another level. He's not bound by the laws of time and space anymore. And his impact, his legacy, has been for 2,000 years. We're still studying his teaching. So across time, he left footprints in the sands of time, his enlightened words and actions for those to follow, and we're still following them. And we're still learning from his example. And he's saying, well, I did it, so can you. You be the example for the next generation of spiritual seekers who looking for examples, looking for way shows to show them the way out of the dream. Okay? Happy with that?
Yep.
Move on to number 7. All right, so number 7 is it Sally again, I think.
Yeah. We join in this awareness as we say that we are one with God. For those in these words, we say as well that we are saved and healed, that we can save and heal accordingly. We have accepted, and we now would give, or we would keep the gifts of our Father gave. Keep the gifts our Father gave. Today we would experience ourselves at one with him, so that the world may share our recognition of reality. In our experience, the world is freed. As we deny our separation from our Father, it is healed along with us.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
So
take
translation. Let's just grab the translated text quickly. Okay. All right. So alternatively,
we join in this awareness as we say that we are one with pure formless awareness of perfect love. For in these words we say, as well as that we are saved and healed. Doesn't really flow, does it? Or
save and heal accordingly. As well that we are, so we can change that. We are saved, we are awakened, maybe.
are awakened and healed. Yeah, that sounds good.
Awakened and healed.
That we can save and heal accordingly.
Yeah. Maybe instead of a and, what do you think?
We are awakened.
As well as we're awakened and healed.
And save.
And we can save and heal accordingly. We got a bit more flowing, and we can awaken.
Yeah, that's better.
Others.
And heal accordingly. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
We have accepted and we now would give. For we would keep the gifts of our Father, which is Source. Gave. Today we would experience ourselves at one with it, so that the world may share our recognition of reality. In our experience, the world is freed. As we deny our separation from our source, it is healed along with us.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
It's about being at one with the perfect love. And when we are, we can allow others to be so too, because through our eyes, we see them in the same as we feel within us. We're sharing that source energy. Yeah. And then we're free. The world is free. We're all free. No separation in the oneness that Source gave us. Something like that.
We can awaken others.
Yeah, awaken others. Yeah.
Heal others.
That's an illusion that they're not awake, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is still an illusion, but remember the recognition that I have a perceptual problem is the start for people. So part of their awakening would be to just help them to start seeing, okay, I have a perceptual problem, and now I'm seeing an example of someone who's recognized they have a perceptual problem and has done something about it, has actually corrected it. And you become the example. They go, oh, Sally, I just want to be like you are. And then they, well, okay, well, you can be. I'll show you. I'm nothing special. I've just trained my mind, and you haven't trained your mind yet. So let me show you. So yeah, it's an illusion that they're not awakened, but we have to work within the illusion to undo it. That's how it works. This whole course wouldn't be necessary. It's like, well, everyone's already awakened. Then, well, why bother with a Course in Miracles? You wouldn't need it. Everyone's already got it. So you don't need any. As he says, you don't need training to learn what you already know. It's like you already know it. We need training because we've denied it and we don't know. And the recognition of that is the start of healing. Recognition that, yes, I seem to have a perceptual problem, but now I can undo it. I can let it go. So forgiveness is an illusion, but it's only illusion that undoes all other illusions. See, you're letting go of the belief in any separation by doing it. So it's the only belief that leads to the end of the dream rather than perpetuates the dream. So it's a paradox. If we're already all true and we're already all awakened, then you would need nothing to do nothing. It would be like no course is required. But a course is required, and mind training is required because apparently you think you have a perceptual problem. You think you are separate. So now you need correction of that. In truth, you're already free, you're already home, but in your belief, you're not. So hence we have the course and the mind training to undo this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 8.
I'm going to have to go and play in the illusion again. So thank you very, very much. It's been really helpful today and lovely to meet you, Elaine.
Yeah.
And you too,
Oh, you
Sally.
haven't met Sally, have you?
No, but I've heard Sally and I enjoy listening to you. I really do.
Yeah.
It's lovely to see you come on board.
Yeah. Lovely.
Okay. So see you tomorrow, hopefully.
Okay. See ya. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Namaste.
Have a lovely evening.
All right. So let's finish this then. Where are we? We've done this. We've done our separation. So number 8 then. Do you want to read?
Peace be to you today. Secure your peace by practicing awareness. You are one with your Creator as He is with you. Sometimes today, whenever it seems best, devote half an hour to the thought that you are one with God. This is our first attempt at an extended period for which we give no rules nor special words to guide your meditation. We will trust God's voice to speak as He sees fit today. Certain He will not fail. Abide with Him this half an hour. He will do the rest.
Okay. Translate that.
Peace be to you today. Secure your peace by practicing awareness. You are one with your Creator as He is with you. Sometime today, whenever it seems best,
Stop.
devote half.
Need to
If
translate. Creator is source.
You are one with your source as it is with you.
Yep.
Whenever it seems best, devote half an hour to the thought that you are one with pure forms of awareness of perfect love. This is our first attempt at an extended period for which we give no rules nor special words to guide your meditation. We will trust pure formless awareness of perfect love voice to speak as it sees fit today. Certain He will not fail. It will not fail. Abide with pure formless awareness.
Yeah, maybe we could say so. See, the beauty of the translation is it actually gives you a direct pointer to the state of mind he's talking about, doesn't it? Abide in.
So have you sort of substituted some of these translations that automatically comes up in the alternative? Is that what you've done? You've kind of coded it. That
I just did a replace. So I replaced
this word with that word.
Yes, you can do that, and then it just saves time. So every guide you change as pure formless awareness of perfect love, and it just does that. So that's the quick way to do it.
He will do the rest.
It will do the rest. So really, it's an invitation, you see, into an experience. Abide in that experience.
Just take half an hour a day to bask in this notion.
Yeah. So he's asking us now, we've done quite a lot of mind training. He's saying this is the first time he's just asking you to say the idea and just rest in this. Just whatever. You're just going to sit quietly and you're going to allow whatever happens to happen. So
just say, I am one with my source.
Yeah, and then you just let go and say, okay, well, whatever experience arises, I'll guide you into this in meditation just now. So watch your breath, guide you in, and then just, okay, we just sit in that awareness. That's really what meditation is leading to. Any technique you use is just to clear the mind so that ultimately you just stay in that awareness. You're rooted in pure formless awareness. There's no other awareness, but you're aware of that awareness, and you remain in that awareness for the time of the meditation without distracting thoughts coming in. If you can stay there, if you could stay in pure formless awareness with no thought for half an hour, you're enlightened. That's like serious. Just to do that. So thoughts might come in, but then if they do, you just let them go, and you try and just restore your mind to this awareness and just stay rooted in it. Okay, so let's see what else Yeshua has for us. in here. A bit of other stuff going on, so just copy that. We may as well finish the translation. Okay, so number 9.
Your benefit.
Yep.
There's still quite a bit to get through. Your benefit will not be less if you believe that nothing happens. You may not be ready to accept the gain today, yet sometime, somewhere it will come to you, nor will you fail to recognize it when it dawns with certainty upon your mind. This half an hour will be framed in gold, with every minute like a diamond set around the mirror, that this exercise will offer you, and you'll see Christ's face upon it in reflection of your own.
Okay. So let's translate that.
Remember that the gifts, go gives, take.
Okay, so read that again, and it's
the benefit will not be less if you believe that nothing happens. What does he mean by that? Your benefit if you believe that nothing happens.
So you're sitting there and you go, okay, well, I sat for half an hour and like I didn't really feel like nothing was really happening.
You're still getting the benefit, even if you're not realizing it. Just by making that effort.
Yeah. You may not be ready to accept the gain today, yet sometime, somewhere, it will come to you. Nor you fail to recognize it when it dawns with certainty upon your mind. So what often happens is you're meditating and you might go, well, nothing much is happening. I sat for half an hour. I had a little bit of peace, but there was quite a lot of thoughts going on. Okay, big deal. But if you persist, he says, then sometime, somewhere, these benefits come to you. Because you start getting insights and awakenings that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't spent that time.
But you'll know when it's there, because you will not fail to recognize it when it dawns with certainty upon your mind.
Yeah.
You will know.
Yeah.
This half an hour will be framed in gold, with every minute like a diamond set around the mirror, that this exercise will offer you. And you will see
Christ's face. So you remember what Christ is?
Love, pure formless awareness, oneness.
It's the one self. You will see your true self. Your true self's face. I think instead of upon it, in it, because he's talking about the mirror.
In it.
You see it in a mirror.
You will see your true self's face in it, in reflection of
your own. So you'll see yourself. This becomes the mirror in which you see your true self. This meditation. Very poetic, diamond set around the mirror. So there are these experiences. The diamonds, the gold is just the experience of love, peace, joy, transcendent happiness that can arise if you do this meditation properly. Okay.
Perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow, you will see your own transfiguration in the glass. This holy half an hour will hold out to you to look upon yourself. When you are ready, you will find it there within your mind and waiting to be found. You will remember then the thought to which you gave this half an hour, thankfully aware no time was ever better spent.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So he's saying, actually this is because you're coming home to your true self. Like what better time could you spend than half an hour just connecting with who you really are, finally.
And when you are ready, you will find it there. When you are ready, it will be undeniable. And you will know why you took the trouble to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm starting to get it, John. You see, you never see me, but I'm actually a very good student.
Oh, well, that's good. It's good that you you're listening to recordings. I mean, that's still good that you're doing that. The ideal is join the sessions, but if you can't, the recordings are a pretty good second go, because you're getting, although you're not interacting and getting getting experiences yourself, but you're listening to others, and you can learn a lot from them.
As long as you are tapping into this reality of the illusion and the false perception, and you actually have that awareness every day in your life.
Yeah. Yes,
You
I have a perceptual problem.
I have a perceptual problem.
Okay.
If you can say every day, I have a perceptual problem, you are doing the work.
Yes, exactly. David Hoffman says what you should do is at the beginning of each day, you should wake up and go, okay, I wake up, right, I have a perceptual problem. Okay, so because I'm waking up to an apparently external world, right? So right there, I have a perceptual problem. But let me be aware of that. Let me be vigilant of that problem today, because then I'm on my guard. I'm vigilant. I've set myself to okay, all right, I have a perceptual problem. I've seemingly woken up to this external world, but I have a perceptual problem. I'm perceiving a world that's not really there. Okay, right. So now I'm vigilant. I'm aware of the game, because you've got to be aware of what the game is. Otherwise, the ego is going to get you.
Yeah.
So that's the advantage of saying I have a perceptual problem. Okay, so we need to change any of this in this class, in this holy half an hour. I think a couple of words would do would benefit. So let's just do that. Copy and paste that. So and okay, so where are we? Let's get back here. 24. So perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow. Perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow. There's the 10. So we wanted to do see your own transfiguration. This class this. So instead of holy half an hour, how about wholly aware? It's quite nice. This half an hour in which you're wholly aware.
I actually like this idea.
What?
Of taking a half an hour.
Yeah.
When you think of it.
Yeah.
Even if it's not every day, because we are so imperfect. But I will do this.
Huh. There's no reason why you can't do this every day. He's giving you other
no reason. Absolutely no reason.
Mind training, but to just sit in beingness and say, okay, I'm just going to sit. And be, and this is the foundation of meditation. People just started sitting and saying, okay, well, if I just sit and I'm just being, what happens? And then they notice thoughts coming up, and they're like, okay, well, these thoughts aren't necessarily helpful. What I find most helpful and most peaceful is just being in awareness, where I'm not really thinking about anything. There's an awareness there, and so meditation is just inviting that awareness, pure formless awareness, we call it, into your mind. When you're ready, you'll find it there within your awareness. And waiting to be found. Remember then the thought to which you gave this half an hour, thankfully aware no time was ever better spent. So you start with the thought, let me remember I'm one with God, and then you just let go into that and let the experience, because in the end, that's what he's trying to give rise to here. Mind training, all these lessons, the metaphysics. It's to bring you to this experience where you're just in pure formless awareness. That's all that's happening. And having had that experience very briefly, I still have aspects of it, but I had that mystic experience about a year ago. It really was just awareness. There was no thought. It was just awareness without thought for a few moments, and I was like, oh wow. When I came out of that and I started to think about it again, it's like, wow, okay, I get it. That's what it is. That's what and based on that, I changed this guide into pure formless awareness of perfect love, because that's what it is. Just that awareness. And so he's inviting us with the meditation to go in and experience that for ourselves. Okay, so moving on to number 11.
Perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow, you will look into this glass and understand the sinless light you see belongs to you. The loveliness you look on is your own. Count this half hour as your gift to God, in certainty that his return will be a sense of love you cannot understand, a joy too deep for you to comprehend, a sight too holy for the body's eyes to see. And yet you can be sure someday, perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow, you will understand and comprehend and see.
Okay, so alternatively.
So perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow, you will look into, I'm just reading the alternative.
Yeah.
You will see, you will look into the glass and understand the sinless light you see belongs to you.
Mirror, shall we? Because that was his analogy, looking in the mirror of Christ and you saw your face. So let's keep that, I think actually that's what he means. Glass, the looking glass. That's an old word for mirror.
You will see your reflection.
Yeah.
You will see your reflection. You will look into the mirror and understand the sinless light you see belongs to you. So the reflection, the reflection you see, which is sinless awareness, you see belongs to you. The loveliness you look on is your own. Count this half hour as your gift to pure formless awareness of perfect love, in certainty that its return will be a sense of love you cannot understand, a joy too deep for you to comprehend, a sight too holy for the body's eyes to see. And yet you can be sure someday, perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow, you will understand and comprehend and see. It's lovely. It's very reassuring. Just do the work. Do the work, and the work you'll be rewarded.
Perhaps tomorrow. So you meditate and people are like, well, I'm meditating, I spend half an hour. I'm like, okay, nothing really happened. So and then the ego is going to say, oh, you're wasting your time. This is like, you'd be much better off using the time constructively to do something. But he's saying, just accept that, this will come when you're ready. And sometimes that, that experience will only come much later. But it comes because you've meditated, because you've done this. Not just once, but, daily. You get into practice. Then your true awareness starts arising. And the rewards are so great. I mean, what could you want but perfect peace, love, and joy? I mean, is there anything else really that you want? Everything in this world pales by comparison to these higher states of mind he's pointing us to. And you will understand and comprehend and see. So then we can change see to perceive truly. I'm going to leave the other looks because we're talking about the mirror, so that kind of goes with the analogy, the loveliness you look on in the mirror.
Yeah.
So he's telling us, these are the rewards of doing a meditation like this. This is what can happen. He's motivating us to do it. A lot of people have a lot of resistance to meditation. They just sit quietly and be like, no, I can't do that because my mind's all over the place, and they get very uncomfortable because just sitting with yourself means you have to face your shit. don't you? If there's stuff can kind of come up, and it's going to come up when you sit quietly. In fact, there was a French philosopher called Blaise Pascal, and he said all man's problems come from his inability to sit still quietly in a room by himself for half an hour. All man's problems, just because you can't do that.
And that's all he's asking us to do.
Yeah.
Just for half an hour, and you will eventually reap the rewards of that.
Yeah.
If not today, maybe tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah.
But you are doing the work. Even if it doesn't feel like anything's happening.
Yeah, exactly. So add further jewels to the golden frame that holds the mirror offered you today by hourly repeating to yourself. I'm going to read that.
Let me remember I am one with God, at one with all my brothers and myself, in everlasting holiness and peace.
Okay.
Morning and evening, do we gladly.
Translation of that is, let's just get in here.
Sure. So you are probably the first human on this planet since this was written to rewrite the entire course.
I don't know, honestly. I don't know.
I doubt anybody else is doing it. It takes a certain kind of person. Okay,
I guess so, yeah.
Not too many of you, I can tell you something, with that
Well,
consistency.
it seems completely
and
obvious.
that logic and that tenacity. No, it's extraordinary.
Yeah,
And the technicals and the technical know-how and skill with the discipline to do it. And the experience.
Well, just the spirit, really. It's it's all happening through me. I'm just.
I think you've been chosen, to do this. Just as she was chosen to write the course, you've now been chosen to
reinterpret it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it does. I mean, to me, it's just crying.
Yeah, and it's like it's a compulsion with you. It's like it was with her. You just can't help yourself.
Yeah, it's like crying out for it to
happen. It's a compulsion. It's exactly, she said, sometimes it would annoy me, but I couldn't stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't you find that as well? Like it's annoying sometimes.
No, I know. I can't. I just like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and you can't really explain it. Deborah sometimes says, well, we'll just go get a job or something. I'm like, I just can't. You don't understand. I can't.
Go get a job or something.
I can't do it. It's like I've got to, this is a calling. It's a mission. It's like I've got to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
Whatever, So, and I'm not sure you can really explain that to people. It's not rational. It doesn't fit within the ego framework, but it's
not at all. Especially when you've got a wife telling you, why don't you just go get a job or something? Which, it's like...
Well, you just got to hold to, like, no, I know what I must do. It's like, I must do this. It's a calling, and I must find a way. So...
Yeah.
And it's happening. So it is unfolding. Do you want to read the alternative? Let me remember.
Let me remember I am one with pure formless awareness of perfect love, at one with all my brothers and myself, in everlasting holiness and peace.
One with all my companions.
Or fellow humans.
Yeah, all my companions, because that's what they are. And myself in everlasting
holiness.
How about wholeness instead of holiness?
Oh, that's nice.
Everlasting wholeness and peace.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of that. So do you want to do a meditation?
Yeah. Let's go lie on my bed. That's where I like to be for my meditations.
Okay.
And then we can
stay awake.
I'm not going to fall asleep. When I come, then I'm here. Yeah. So when I say, no, I don't want to do it, I'm too tired, then you don't see me at all. Yeah. But when I'm there, John.
All right. So you get set up.
I'm present. Today I'm present.
You're present. I can tell. Yeah, it's good. I'm just gonna take a quick. You get yourself set up. We'll take a quick comfort break, and then we'll do the med, shall we? Yeah. Okay, so pause the recording. Okay. So.
Janet.
Yeah, I'm coming. Just getting a cup of tea. There we go. Bit of sustenance. Okay. All right. So let's recording going again. Okay. So you ready, Elaine?
Yeah.
All right. So just making yourself comfortable, sitting or, in your case, lying down. Sitting, feet shoulder width apart, back straight. Clap your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And breathing in. Notice how the stomach rises and the chest rises. The subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Just check in and scan your mind. So noticing any thoughts, any emotions, any sensations that are going on for you. Breathing into them, creating some space, some light, some awareness. Remind yourself of today's idea. Let me remember that I'm one with God. I'm one with love, perfect love. Pure formless awareness of perfect love. Let me remember I'm one with love. Not sometime in the past or the future, but right now. Right now I am one with love. And you just let go into that awareness. Exhale. Just blowing away any thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations that go along with them. Letting them go into the nothingness they really are. You pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. Just rest here. In the gap between breaths, there's an opening to eternity, to an eternal self, to the one mind. And there's really nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still. Remember that you are one with God, one with pure formless awareness of perfect love. Right now, nothing else is true. There is nothing else. Only this awareness. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Breathe, relax, and be still. You rest in this awareness. Let me remember, I'm one with God, one with pure formless awareness of perfect love. Let me remember that right now. And just abide in that state, this deep state of connected awareness. Pure formless awareness of perfect love. Stay there. So if any thoughts arise to seemingly disturb this pure formless awareness, just observe them casually. Imagine they're like cloud patterns just arising in your mind to obscure the blue sky of your pure formless awareness and the light of your source that shines through it. So as you exhale, you just let them go, releasing them to the nothingness that they really are. Blowing them away with the breeze of your breath to the nothingness they really are. And abide in this pure formless awareness of perfect love. Trust perfect love's voice to speak as it sees fit today. Certain it will not fail. Let go all your own ideas and thoughts and beliefs, and just abide in this awareness for the next 15 minutes or so. Just keep watching your breath to help you stay in the present moment. If your mind gets distracted, thoughts arise, focus your attention on the breath to let that thought go. So the breath becomes your anchor into this awareness. Just observing breath flowing into the nostrils and the breath from the nostrils. So the touch of the breath in the nostrils as it flows out of the nostrils. So the touch of the breath on the area between your nose and your upper lip. Nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. Nothing else to think about. Just abide in this awareness. And let go, and you let God speak to you. The voice of true awareness speak to you as it wants to in the next 15 minutes or so of deep silence. And so gently just bring your awareness back from this deep state of pure formless awareness into awareness of the body, the breath, and the sense of the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air entering the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind, notice any thoughts, any emotions, any related sensations in the body that you're feeling. Breathe into all of that. Create some awareness. Just the pure formless awareness of perfect love arising in your mind, your heart. Helping you to let go of any dark thoughts. Just imagine there's like clouds, and you just blow them away with the breeze of your breath. Exhale. Just let them go to the nothingness that they really are. From the lower stomach to the spine. Expel the last remaining out. And you just rest here in this deep peace, the gap between breaths. It's an opening into timeless dimension. So even if you felt like nothing happened in the meditation, Yeshua says you may not be ready to accept the gain today, yet sometime, somewhere, it will come to you. Or will you fail to recognize it when it dawns with certainty upon your mind? This half an hour will be framed in gold. Every minute like a diamond set around the mirror. This exercise will offer you. You'll see your true self's face in it. Reflection of your own, so hopefully you had that experience. So, count of 2, just notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair or couch. Notice the weight of your body pressing down, feet touching the ground. Notice what you're touching and feeling with your hands. So you breathe in, notice any smell in your nose. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. Notice that. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of oneness. Just pure formless awareness underlying all of your sense perceptions. So this is how you take the deep awareness that hopefully connected with in this meditation into your daily life. Just carry it with you. Underlying all of your perceptions is this awareness. Awareness of God or love. Remember, I am one with God, with this pure formless awareness of perfect love. So repeat that idea to yourself frequently this afternoon and evening, ideally every hour. Even if it's just for a few moments. I've sent you a 5-minute breath break recording you can listen to help you to do that. Keep you in touch with this deeper presence, pure formless awareness, perfect love. So it is said, so it is done. So on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around, ground yourself back into this so-called reality. Noticing whatever's going on for you in the world, but from the state of pure awareness. So if you don't name things, judge them, label them, interpret them, then they remain in awareness, but they cannot affect you. It's just underlying peace. You start to recognize that peace is always there. In other words, God is with you wherever you go. You remember, I'm one with God, with this pure formless awareness. You take that with you into all of your perceptions of the world. So practice this lesson to help you do that, and stay connected to your source. And that brings us to the end of the meditation and today's session. So thank you, Elaine, for joining and staying till the end, and namaste. Okay, let's unmute. I'm just going to stop.